The main character is a warrior defender who died during a failed attempt to save the princess from hired killers, but was brought back in time by unknown forces. Determined to protect the princess, the warrior sets off in search of the sealed power. Will the second attempt be successful? Wang Suho and the princess are trying to escape from the sword-wielding criminals, but they hear the loud stomp of their feet getting closer and closer. The furious warrior drew his sword and said, "Bastards!" He directed all his power and hatred at his sword, which glittered against the nightlight. Suho rushed to meet the criminals at the speed of light to protect his princess. With the force of the wind, one by one, the evil murderers flew in different directions. Blood splashed. With his last breath, one of the criminals shouts to the others, "Leave him alone! Our target is the princess!" And losing consciousness, he falls to the ground. Catching up with the princess, the two criminals went to her saying, "Well, Your Highness, it's time to die for your country." Holding out the medallion in front of her, the princess shouted, "Hyolongi, save me!" At that time, a red circle appeared in front of her, as if pulling everything nearby towards it. The hired killers could not understand what was in front of them. Some kind of magical matter appeared in front of their swords. "Surely this is self-defense," someone asked one. "Surround her!" shouted another. But at that time, behind the two criminals, the words of a warrior were heard. "I'm afraid I'm going to interfere with your plans." The murderers were surprised to hear these words. A couple of seconds later, they received the first sword blows in the back. "Shit!" one of them shouted. The two were flying as if in zero gravity from the blows they had received. The criminals quickly found themselves face down on the ground, completely immobilized. Frightened and anxious, the princess said, "Suho, we have been discovered. What should we do now?" "Despite everything, we need to continue on our way," the boy said, looking back at her. They continued to walk on. Walking first and looking back, Suko says, "If we go up the mountain and overcome the northern gate, we can fight them off. Let's go this way." "Okay," the princess followed behind. Fear and embarrassment were written all over Von Suho's face. "Even though I said yes, will we be able to fight back?" he said to himself. Walking along the dark road, Suho could only think, if Chancellor Gun Shin knew that we had managed to escape, he would definitely have hit those bastards. The road was long and winding. Up to this point, we've been fighting off hired killers with the Punyan sword, but it was very difficult, the boy continued to think. "Your Highness, it's only a short distance to the northern gate. You can do it," the warrior supported the princess. "Yes, if we can just get out of the capital, then my grandfather will protect us," the princess said, running with all her might. But what was it? 4 shadows appeared above them, rapidly approaching. Wang Suho immediately recognized who it was. "Your Highness, it's them!" he exclaimed. The guy drew his sword, preparing for the next battle, because it was unavoidable. With all his strength and hatred, he struck Punyan to the ground with his sword. It was as if a great wave rose after this blow and directed all its power and strength to destroy the enemies. The bodies of the attackers were pierced by strong energy, and they were shattered as if into small pieces from contact with this force. "Did you think you were the only one with an ace up your sleeve?" said one of the criminals, swinging his sword at Suko. Suddenly, the sword is filled with some kind of power and emits a bright yellow glow, knocking the warrior off his feet. Wang Suho's screams are heard. "The power of the wind sword? Is that it?" Suho said in surprise. "Surprised? The Chancellor gave me the Gimson sword and ordered me to finish you off," says the attacker with a smile on his face. "What, traitor? You have to protect the princess," Suho replies, preparing to strike. "This is an order from the royal court. Besides, I've been dreaming of finishing you off for so long," said the criminal, stabbing with his sword. "What the hell is this?" the warrior said, wondering. While the fierce fight between the soldier and the vicious attacker was going on, 2 more enemies were sneaking up on Suko from behind. With the speed of the wind, they set out to attack Wang Suho, raising their swords in the air. The warrior was already facing 3 opponents, ready to cut him to pieces with their sharp swords filled with the power of the wind. This force was powerful. Wang Suho could barely contain it. Sparks flew in all directions from the oncoming blows. Holding a sword over his head and with fury on his face, the thief said, "Do you understand now? We were all once friends who served in Urimba. Isn't it an honor to die at the hands of a former partner?" He continues, striking again. The earth trembled and broke into small pieces that flew around. Through the cracks in the ground, a glow rises up like fire, consuming everything around. Suho can't stand on his feet and falls down. And now you're going to die." The thief's face was filled with rage and hatred. His eyes indicated his dislike for Wang Suho and his thirst for revenge. "It's dry," the princess said with despair and horror on her face as she watched the battle. "I'm fine, stay there," the warrior answered her, holding back another blow. But from behind, Van Suho is stabbed by another thief with a sword. "You say everything is fine?" he says mockingly. "How arrogant you are," the thief says, smiling and running his fingers along his sword with the force of the wind. A split second later, and the sword is at Suho's neck. "Will you say everything is fine even if I cut your throat?" he asks. "But what is it?" The sound of metal scraping is heard. At this point, Suho tries to get his sword, which is made of small lightning bolts. What? The hired killer does not understand what the sound is and where it is coming from. Iron jets that look like storm lightning flew out from under Van Suho. They flew directly at the hired killers. "What the hell? The sword of the wind," the main thief only managed to say. The lightning had so much power that its strength and force destroyed everything around it, turning it into radiance. This vivid picture of the destruction of the enemies was watched by him, a man of mystery. The blue glow of lightning illuminated the entire area around him. "So he screwed up," said an unknown man watching from the side. Aiming the arrow from his bow, he let it go into the unknown. "It's dry. Are you okay?" The princess runs to the defender. "Oh." Sitting on the ground, he sighed, holding a sword made of strings. Putting the sword back together, he replied, "It's only a small scratch." But closer and closer, I heard a sound. It was an arrow. It was flying straight at Van Suho. "What the hell?" Suho was frozen with horror because he realized that it was inevitable. He tried to deflect the arrow with his sword, but no matter how hard he tried, the arrow hit him in the stomach. Holding his stomach and in excruciating pain, he said, "Is this Bonhwan Ngunhi?" The weapon that has the power of a phoenix. With horror in her eyes, the princess stretches out her hand to her protector and says, "Dry, your wound is very serious. I think it will be better if we return to Yanagun Palace." But she hears him refuse. After breaking the arrow that pierced his stomach in half, Suho answers the princess. "If this shooter is In Gyang-hee, then the shots will not stop until the arrows reach their target. Hurry up and run to the north gate." "Your Highness, we must use Hyolongi," Wang Suho shouted. Unexpected to hear this from a defender, the princess replied, "Now? But your wound. Now is not the time to think about it. Hurry up, please," Suho pleads. The princess really did not want to do this. Her sad look said that she was desperate and did not know what to do next. "You are ready to sacrifice yourself because of me?" says the princess in a low voice. "If you are safe, then I will be fine too," the boy replies. Taking the pendant out of her sleeve and pointing it at Wang Suho, she pressed on the center and some magical actions began to take place. A red glow began to consume Suho, penetrating every cell of his body and filling him with incredible power. "Hilongi will protect you, Your Highness," Wang Suho said with confidence. The princess's protector feels Hyolongi's blood flow accelerate, and his strength and speed increase tenfold. Another arrow flies at the speed of light towards Suho, but with his new strength, he easily deflects them, breaking them into small pieces. "I will deal with the shooter and open the way for you," said the defender courageously, heading towards the shooter. "Is this really Ngunhi? But I thought he was my friend. Besides, wasn't he the one who confessed to me that he was in love with Her Highness?" Suho thinks about the whole situation. Approaching a small building, Van Suho sees the silhouette of a man. A very familiar man. "What? It can't be. Not you," said the guy. "You guessed it, it's me," says a blond boy with a bow in his hands as he aims the next arrows. Their furious and hateful gazes met. "What? Why you? I was sure you would never betray me," Suho said angrily. "You are such an idiot. I didn't think you were that stupid," Ngyong-hee replied. "You were just looking at the princess, not even noticing the changes around you. And that's your biggest mistake," Ngyong-hee shouted, pointing his bow and using the power of the dragon. "That's right, I didn't think you'd dare to do that. It's my fault I didn't realize it earlier," the guy said sadly. "But if someone dares to threaten Her Highness's life, there is no mercy for him," Wang Suho said, squaring his shoulders and holding his sword tightly, confident in his abilities. After all, he had the power of a bloody river, the birth of the wind. With all his strength, Suho strikes the ground with his sword, directing all his hatred at his opponent in battle. In Gun-hee faces this battle with fear. "No, my dragon power. In one swing," he says in confusion. "Take that, you stupid idiot! How dare you? You!" Wang Suho shouted as he stabbed his sword through his opponent's body, filled with rage and pain. The only sounds coming from him were groans and grunts of pain. Coming closer and seeing the cruelty with which Wang Suho was killing the other boy, the princess exclaimed, "Stop! Let him go!" In Gun-hee could barely stand on his feet and said, "If you were in my place, you would have done the same. In fact, I was just a decoy." Suho was embarrassed by these words. "What did you say?" he asked in surprise. Falling to his knees, in Gun-hee said, "Be careful, it is your confidence that will kill the princess." A noise made Wang Suho and the princess turn around. "What?" the girl says in surprise, looking up. She saw someone's silhouette on the roof. The time has come to pull down the curtains. A mysterious man in a black cloak with a mask on his face stretched out his hand toward the princess, who was holding a blue flame. When the blue flame meets the red flame, the god of fire descends to the earth. The mysterious man had blue flames in one hand and red flames in the other. A moment, and he combines them with the words Yomche, the ancient Chinese god of fire. The radiance illuminated everything around and flew towards the princess. The princess stretched her arms forward, holding the pendant and speaking, "Healong! Protect me!" A red glow instantly began to grow in front of her like a protective shield, taking the brunt of the attack. But the magical power of the mysterious man was so strong that the girl realized it was the end. "Your Highness!" Wang Suho ran with horror on his face, trying to save the girl in time. But the princess's horror on her face was replaced by a smile, and she said her last words. "Suho, when they left, only you stayed with me and protected me. I am grateful to you." "No, not yet," the boy shouts to her. "Stay alive," the girl says as her shield is shattered and flies in different directions. The radiance of Yomche pierced the body and took the life of the young girl. Only a few seconds were missing for the defender to approach the princess and save her. "No, Your Highness, no, no." Feelings of loss and emptiness were destroying him from the inside. His eyes were full of regret. The unknown killer flew down from the roof of the house and approached Suko from behind, saying, "Here he is, Jar Jomche." The boy sitting on his knees could only say, "She didn't have a chance even with Healong." The defender instantly turned around, holding his sword to strike. But the killer stretched out his hand to him and said with a blue glow, "Don't worry, I will send you to her." And at the same time, the blue radiance began to absorb Suho's body. The end. That's what it is. Betrayed by his partner and friend. Failed to protect his princess. The one who has only one way left. Death. I hear some sounds from the darkness. "Hey, Van Suho, why are you lying down? Are you going to sleep in your clothes?" The guy opens his eyes and sees a man in front of him. "What an asshole, take that." At the same time, Suko is kicked in the stomach. What the hell, did I just die?" the guy said. Before he could recover, the man grabbed him by his clothes and lifted him up with one hand above the floor, saying, "Come here. You say you want to die? I'll make it happen for you." And he threw the guy to the floor with all his strength. What the hell is going on?" Van Suho says, standing outside the window. "What's wrong with him?" I hear from the outside. And then Suho looked up and froze. "Van, get up," the man said to him. The teacher and many other boys were standing in front of him, and they were saying, "What a fool! Hey, what's wrong with you? Come here quickly." "Engyong-hee, you bastard," Wang Suho said with hatred and cruelty, attacking him. "It's a beautiful sunny day. It's time to remember how things used to be and who friend and foe really are." The guy immediately ran into the people standing next to him. "Those bastards," Wang Suho said angrily. "What are you talking about?" said Engyong-hee, not understanding the situation. "You little asshole," the teacher was angry. "Did you decide to make a fuss in the morning?" the man said, pushing the boy. "Ilim Chongwi," the teacher said to the other. "Yes, Mr. Joe Becco," the other replied. "Shake this boy up. Let him run 100 laps around the field fully armed," the teacher added. "What a spectacle this will be," the boys said as they stood by. Only In Young-hee was worried. What's wrong with him? A new day has come. Suho has already completed lap 55. Yeah, a little more. What the hell? I know for sure that I died defending the princess. And then, as if nothing had happened, I woke up and went to the roll call. I saw this Chokshin, Ingyong-hee, and even the commanders there. No matter how much I think, the only explanation for this is that I'm in the past. But how far did I go? He began to think. At the roll call, I think I saw the girl who was killed. That's right, Han Se-kyung. We found her dead 2 years ago on the same mission, Suho recalled. So, if Han Se-kyung is alive, then that day is 2 years away. It hasn't been long since I joined in Hoyeon's squad, which means I'm just a new recruit. So Princess Moon Ryong is still alive. She's in Yongagun Palace? And this guy, aren't you close to Yongagun Palace today? Hurry up and get ready. This is your first case, so try not to screw it up, the teacher said sternly. Yongagun Palace? What? The guy was surprised. Is today really the day? A smile appeared on his face. And why is he so inspired? Has he lost his mind? The man said, watching through the window. A palace. 2 young girls, servants, are standing at the door saying, Your Highness, it's time to drink the broth. Come in, they reply. When she entered the room and saw the princess, she was embarrassed. Your Highness, you don't look well. Are you unwell? The princess sat in a chair, holding and stroking her favorite cat on her lap. My head hurts a little, probably because of the fright. I had a nightmare last night, she said. Horror? Perhaps an uncomfortable bed? The maid was surprised. It was something terrible, but I can't remember, Moon Ryong said. The girl offered to change the bed, and the princess agreed. At some point, the beloved cat jumped from the princess's arms and ran into the garden. Oh, Moo Wol, where did you go? The girl asked. Where did he go? He doesn't know his way around, Moon Ryong said, already angry. If he doesn't come back, I'll definitely go look for him, the girl reassured the princess. I'll see my grandmother soon. Von Suko holds on with the last of his strength. That's all, someone says from behind him. You met the deadline. Why don't you rest? How do you feel? The teacher asked, coming closer. No, I'm going to do my first mission, Suko said sharply. Have you really come to your senses? Go wash up and hurry up and change the guard, the man said happily. Yes, sir, the boy exclaimed. Shortly before the changing of the guard, Chokshin and Ingyong-hee noticed Suho returning to the building. He must have finished already. Now he's going to go to the palace. It's going to be hard for him, one of them says. Really? And if he's late, I wonder what they'll do to him then, another asked. Hey, Wang Suho, have you finished your errands? Chokshin asked when he catches up with the boy. Chokshin comes from a family of aristocrats, but he walks under the shadow of his half-brother. I don't have time to deal with you. Go on your way, Suho replies, getting dressed, thus pissing off Chokshin. How dare you talk to me so boldly, the guy says, touching Suko's shoulder. Impudent? Wang takes his hand away. Do you think you're more important than my guards at Yongagun Palace? Wang Suho asks, throwing the boy over his shoulder. With all his strength, Chokshin falls to the floor, hitting the wall. The angry guy gets up from the floor and flies straight at Suko with his thoughts. He knocked me down in one fell swoop. Is he really that strong? I doubt it. He joined the ranks later. Asshole. I said I'm busy. Suho slapped the boy's face with all his might. If you have something to say to me, it can wait until tonight, he added, throwing Chokshin to the floor again. Van Suho looks at the guy lying down and leaves the locker room with thoughts. When I think about the fact that this idiot betrayed us, I want to kill him. But as he washed his face and got ready for the palace, the thought never left him. If I really went back in time, this guy and In Gun-hee haven't done anything wrong yet. The most important thing is to see the princess and make sure she's safe. This time I have to protect her properly. The hour of the day, changing of the guard. Line up outside the palace at intervals of 30 vats from each other. Do not leave your post without orders. Do you understand? The leader set the task. Van Suho, you belong here. Stand up straight, the man said. Yes, Captain Lim Chongi, the boy replied, keeping his posture upright. Standing at his post, Suko thought, if I remember correctly, on the first day of my guard duty, the princess walked along this very path. I was sneakingly watching her then. Out of nowhere, a black cat jumped on the boy. It was Moo Wol, the princess's cat. What was he doing here? It didn't happen last time. Before Suko could think, the cat attacked him furiously. What a parasite! What are you doing? Since the cat was magical, something inexplicable began to happen at the sight of the bite. Like a fire. Van Suho seemed to be exploding with flashes inside his body. "Do you think if you're magical, I won't let you go to the barbecue?" the guy says angrily. "Muwol, stop it!" came a voice from the side. Suho heard a familiar voice. He turned his head and saw her. It was the princess. "Come here," she shouted, coming closer and closer. "Princess Moonryang." Suho saw a picture of her dying, but now she's fine. Coming closer, the princess asked, "Are you hurt?" The boy replies by getting down on one knee. "Forgive me for my lack of manners." No, I'm sorry if Muwol scratched you," Moonryang said, looking into his eyes. "Don't worry about it," Suho replied. "What is your name?" the princess asks. "I'm Wang Suho from the In-Ho-Yan squad," the boy replies, holding his fist to his chest. "If they rot early, come to Yonghagun Palace right away," the girl said, embarrassed. "As you say, Your Highness," agreed Suho. The princess took her cat and went to the palace with the servants. "The princess is alive. I don't know if it's the past or not, but I have another chance to save Your Highness, and this time I'll be ready. Even if Chok Shin, in Gun-hee, the righteous man with fire, and the entire guard decide to betray us, I can stop them. I have to be strong to win. Even if the battlefield has changed, I must be strong," the boy repeated to himself. And then Suko had an idea. "That's right. I know what to do. If I get this power, but for this I need to leave the palace. Today is the day of the Tiran fights. The results will go into your exam for further promotion, and a special vacation is given for the first place. 1 to 3 matches of Taijong. Chok Shin, Wang Suho, come out," said Captain Lim Chongyi. "Yes," the boys unanimously replied, coming out to fight. "Now I'm going to get back at you for the insults you've inflicted on me this time," said Chok Shin, smiling. Wang Suho came out to meet him, serious and determined to win. This behavior offended Chok Shin again, and he immediately attacked the boy with the words, "Just walked by? Hey, asshole! How dare you treat me like that?" Suho just calmly stretched out his hand to deflect the blow. "He's doing the same thing. Take that!" Chok Shin decided to strike again, but suddenly Wang Suho, holding his head, flew behind him and struck him with words. "Not this time. It's over. Victory for Van Suho," said the captain. Resting on the bench, Suho began to think, "This Pop G, he hasn't been found yet. He must be sealed in the mountains south of the capital. Then it was found a month after the fights. Now I should be the first. Victory in Tieri is my only chance. For me, reborn again to save the princess. An easy victory is assured. But in Gyohee and Yangyong, come on out." The fight didn't last long, and in Gyohee won with a single punch. The captain decided to ask me right away, "Will you be able to go straight to the next round?" And he got a positive answer. The last match, In Gyohee versus Wang Suho. In Gyohee is from a family of merchants, which is not a common occurrence here. His easygoing personality and good looks have made him very popular. The battle started. We were enlisted in this unit at the same time, and when we first met, we realized that we would remain friends for the rest of our lives. That's why I never stopped believing that In Gyohee would never betray me. Just looking into his eyes makes me want to kill him. First punch. "Hey Suko, you're scaring me. It's just an exhibition match," the guy said, frightened. The next kick came with his foot. "This asshole, is he aiming for my face on purpose?" Ying says. "Are you mad at me?" the boy asks. "Nothing like that," Suho replies with another punch. "What's the matter? You just look at me and this mine appears," says Gun-hee angrily. He decided to keep up and began to deliver heavy blows in response to Suko. Shit, this kid is so much stronger than me now, but an unknown power and rage filled Van Suko, radiating all the hatred to the outside. "It's over now," exclaimed Suko furiously, attacking. What the? In Gyeong-hee couldn't understand. "That's so trite, I can easily predict your movements," Ying exclaimed. He swung and hit Suko in the head with all his might. The blow was so hard that sparks seemed to fly from Suho's head. "Pfft! A fist in the face?" Wang Suho said casually, and immediately lunged back with a rage. At first, he threw In Gun-hee into the wall with all his might, and then began to hit her face harder and harder, over and over again. Take this! Take this!" Wang Suho shouted. Seeing the image of the princess in front of him, the boy repeated the words, "It's you? If you hadn't betrayed me, the princess would be alive. But you..." He continued to strike again and again. "That's enough!" the captain shouted. "That asshole, it's just a terrier. Why are you so angry?" He could barely speak. "Stop it and get up," the captain shouted again. "I'm sorry, I'm all nervous," Wang Suho says, lifting He's hand. He doesn't understand what's happening at all. "I lost my mind for a moment. I guess that's a disqualification." The guy began to think with condemnation. Standing in the ring, everyone was waiting for the results of the fight. In the third round of the tournament, Wang Suho won first place. "Let everyone else prepare the same way," said the captain. "Yes, I did it. Now I can leave the palace," Suho exhaled. "Let's get started," Van Suho said with confidence and determination. Pop Gai is a treasure that was once created by the Celestials. It was the place where the gods who cognized the truth before ascending to heaven stayed. It was called the world of the Middle Heaven. Not only ordinary people lived in this world, but also the descendants of these gods. At a time when the descendants followed the teachings of the gods, their goal was life in heaven. Until one day, 300 years ago, all the gods disappeared from the sky. The lives of the remaining people turned into chaos. However, a person can always find a way out, no matter how difficult the situation is in his or her life. The direct descendants of the gods led the people, harnessing the power of Pop Gi. Soon they created their own country, relying on the support of the people. Pop Gi has a powerful force to support the state, a power that tears the heavens and splits the earth. Created in the depths of the forest, a force that can bring the dead back to life. One of these Pop Gis was discovered by the Manhwa sect in a dense forest, on a mountain of heavenly clouds. There are rumors that it was simply impossible to get Pop Gi because the seal was very strong and hidden from view. However, Wang Suho eventually reached a waterfall that hid a secret cave that might have kept the Pop Gi. Only the imperial family was able to get Pop Gi after spending a lot of time on it. Wang Suho climbed the rock trying to find the entrance to the cave. The only problem is that last time I was unable to take part in this adventure. That's why I have no idea where Pop Gi is sealed. Upon entering the cave, Wang Suho heard the words. "Get out," said the knight in sleeping armor standing in front of him. "A human? No. People haven't found Pop Gi yet at this time," the boy said in surprise. "If you don't leave, you'll die here." An unknown knight with angry red eyes peeking out from under his helmet swung his spear at the boy. "Ouch," Suko managed to say, holding back a blow with his sword. "What? He's trying to take my sword?" says Van Suho, seeing a metal membrane on the spear that has caught the sword. "His technique is amazing, but what is he?" The guy thinks again, holding back his blow. The fight is gaining momentum. Suho throws punches, but the mysterious man deftly slips away and strikes back. What a skilled attack! Is it all because of the weapons and armor? Then, the guy says to himself, then we'll play on his ability to balance with that weight, Suho said affirmatively, aiming to destroy his opponent. The fight continues. Using his tactics and gathering all his strength into one, Wang Suho struck a decisive blow, completely cutting his opponent into two. As soon as the opponent fell to the ground, the guy turned around and was surprised by what he saw. What? This is definitely not a human. Is it iron? No, it's bronze. It's not a person. It's probably just a doll. Suho began to think. All that was left was to find Pop Gi. But it's not that simple. The next warriors, or dolls as he realized, are lined up in front of the boy ready to fight. What the hell? Wang Suho tries to dodge the spears that are flying at him. These guys are like a real army. No matter what, I have to break through their lines, the guy says. He destroyed them one by one, cutting them in half with his sword. Sparks flew in all directions like blood. The last warrior was standing behind Suko, pointing his spear at him. But in a split second, the guy was already standing next to his opponent, and he struck a blow that blew his head off. They're strong and hit hard, but their weakness is their speed, Van Suho said. But what was that sound? Suho turned around and saw a blue vortex appear from somewhere. In an instant, the blue light knocked the boy down with all its force. He flew several meters away and crashed into a wall, which sent stones flying in all directions. After recovering from this, the boy saw a strong man in armor with a sword in his hand. This sword, he said. Raising the sword up, he struck the ground with all his might. As if from an earthquake, the ground trembled and flew in all directions. The boy's face clearly indicated that he was surprised by what he saw. "The sword of Punyan!" shouted Wang Suho. Fending off the flying stones, Wang Suho's goal was to destroy this man and get the sword of Punyan. But this fierce whirlwind, He must make sure it is Punyan or not. In front of Suko stood a man with a sword, and behind him was a whole army of fighters ready to engage in battle. Looking into the man's red eyes, the boy said, "This must be their general." Their eyes met. The general waved his sword in front of the boy, leaving a blue glow in the air. The stones flew apart, and the wind blew the boy off his feet. "If it's Punyan, then fighting at a distance is dangerous," Wang Suho said, trying to run away from his opponent. An army of men in armor marched towards Suko to strike again, led by a general. The boy's eyes grew large and rounded as he realized one thing. "He's going to use the power of the wind?" the boy said, fighting back, as he saw the general raise his sword. "Wait a minute. This is..." Suho said, surprised and a little scared. The blue glow from the sword strokes stretched throughout the cave. "He's going to use vortex power in this small cave," the boy added. "So he's already abusing these powers," Suko said, getting up from another blow. "Of course, the sword Punchin is a good pop G, but he keeps using its power so recklessly," he says, stabbing his opponent. "There must be a way to deal with this guy." Suho jumps up and avoids a punch. "The power of the wind again. Of course, he doesn't know that this power has one small drawback," the boy said, fighting back. "When the attack is over, your body will shudder," Suko shouted as he continued to fight. "Or you'll lose your balance." The guy continues to strike again. "And the armor slows down your movements," when Suho added. "That's why you're easy to knock down," exclaimed Van Suho gleefully. And at this point, the opponent falls down. One swing of the sword and the man is left without the hand that held the sword. The sword of Punyan. Last time it was given to the winner of the Imperial Martial Arts competition. "Now I found it here," Wang Suho said, picking it up from the ground. "Now I will be able to use almost all of my strength before I return to the past." Raising his sword above his head, Suho said, "Pop G was created by the 5 elements. Finally, I have taken it back to myself. Metal gives rise to water, and water and wood create fire. Fire melts metal. That's how the power of Pungi appears." Pulling the handle of the sword, the blade split into many pieces like lightning. They flew in all directions, striking enemies. It was storm lightning. Having destroyed all the opponents, Suho breathed a sigh of relief, and the sword blade regained its previous shape. What incredible power. But if the one who guards the seal has this sword, then what kind of pop G is sealed in that cave? The boy says, looking at the sword and the surroundings. Walking into the depths of the cave, Van Suho saw many stalactites hanging from the top and connecting with others to form columns. One of these columns had a bright light that attracted him. "The shining, is this pop G? A shiny ball? I don't think it's some kind of weapon or armor," the boy said, coming closer. "Maybe it just improves your skills." He stretches out his hand to the glow. What? The glow began to change color, and clouds of smoke appeared. "Wow, it's been a long time since people came here." A girl appeared from a cloud of smoke. "A human? Pop G has taken on the form of a human and is talking to me now?" said Suho in surprise, looking at the girl. He, are you scared?" the stranger said, flying around. "Don't be afraid. If you fulfill our wish, you will receive your power," she whispered. By our, she meant that there were other spirits here. "Get my power? Are you trying to make a deal with me?" the boy replies. "This is a deal. Listen to our wish, and we will give you strength," the girl says, smiling. "Let's say I'm interested." "What is your wish?" Suho replied. "For a warrior like you, it will be very simple. First, the battle. You must fight, not retreat. Second, greed. You must want delicious food and countless treasures," said the girl's spirit. "These 2 points are very simple, aren't they? It's what everyone wants," and she added, "Yes, to fight as much as you want. The second point is a bit. The third is a lie. It's my wish," the boy replied. "You have to deceive everyone and plot. That's the only way you can destroy them. When a person dies, their despair and hatred are so stirring," the girl says with enthusiasm. "Fourth, kill fools. You can kill loyal and pretty people. Deceive such proper fools, take their treasures, and then kill them." Her evil smile was still staring out at me, terrifying me. "You don't like it? Such good conditions. What's wrong?" the girl's spirit asks. "I don't need the power I'll get if I sacrifice others," the boy replied. Are you no different from other commoners? In that case, I'll have to eat you." After saying the last words, the girl's spirit disappeared, and a red glow appeared. which turned into a red big hand that grabbed Wang Suho. Another spirit appeared in front of the protagonist, namely Tao Wu, who grabbed him. This is one of the oldest animals in Chinese mythology. It was called the stupid beast because of its self-confidence and stubbornness. Although it was an animal, it looked like a man with fiery hair and a wound on his face. "Hey, I haven't finished talking yet," the girl's spirit said. "What else? If he refused, then we should finish," Tao Wu said, looking at her. Wang Suho, trying to free himself from the shackles of the stupid beast that has a deadly grip on his body, using his sword, he managed to break the shackles. "You!" Tao Wu said in displeasure, stretching out his large hand with sharp claws and trying to grab Suho again. His hands changed size? What a strange ability, thought the boy. "This sword left me with these wounds." The beast points to his face where there is no eye, only wounds. A whirlwind spun again, and a new spirit appeared from there. It was Sun Qi, an ancient monster who likes to eat people. He appeared as a handsome man with long white hair, a black robe, and large wings. Looking at the boy, he said, "Does this man have Pop G? Perhaps he is a celestial pretending to be an ordinary mortal?" Another spirit, Tao Te, appeared right after Sun Qi. This is a mysterious ancient monster in Chinese mythology. It is known as a greedy glutton or voracious animal. It looked like a man with black eyes and sharp horns. "No, the smell of his body, it definitely smells human," he affirmed. The spirits surrounded Van Suho from all sides. He was a little confused, but he definitely did not want to give up. He was deep in thought. It's already a problem to cope with one, and here there are four. Is that all? We are the four dangers that hate good. Hundun, Tao Wu, Sun Qi, and Tao Te. That's us. The girl, who is a mythical creature of chaos with 6 legs and no face, decided to introduce herself. "The four dangers. So you're like spirits that live here? Or Pop G?" the boy asked with incomprehension. "For several hundred years we were locked in this cave. Our bodies were sealed in this prison together with Pop G," says Hundun. "Then my task is to defeat you and take Pop G," Wang Suho says, holding his sword ready to strike. With an ominous smile on his face, Tao Wu says, "I like the way he thinks. Leave him to me. Don't interfere." Sun Qi says in displeasure, "Don't be ridiculous. Fighting all together against a single person? What nonsense." Tao Te also expressed his opinion, saying, "I'm not interested in it either." "Oh, do as you wish," the girl added to all the words. "This is great. It's been a long time since I fought anyone. My blood is boiling." Tao Wu is rubbing his palms and preparing for battle. "He will be alone," Suho reassures himself, holding his sword in front of him. "Human!" The monster Tao Wu started running toward the boy, smiling slyly. As he flew into the air to strike, he said, "Show me the strength that matches this self-confidence." The battle has begun. Tao Wu repeatedly delivers precise and powerful blows, but Wang Suho skillfully holds them off with his sword. "Power? Apart from its superpower, there's nothing special about it," says the protagonist, looking at the sword. Wang Suho held his sword with both hands and struck the right pose, and decided to use the power of the wind against his opponent. "Ha, I don't like your tricks," Tao Wu said, smiling at first. But then his mood changed to one of conquest and anger, as his posture indicated. Crossing his arms, the spirit struck a blow that broke the ground and left behind a trail of fiery crossed lines. The power of the wind helped the protagonist escape from Tao Wu's fiery blows, as he moved quickly on the ground, avoiding the devastation. "What? He's still alive?" Tao Wu says in surprise. He sees how fast the guy is approaching him and realizes with horror that this is his end. The spirit finds himself in a belt, enveloped in the blue glow from Wang Suho's sword. He is like a hot coal, reddened from head to toe and boiling from the inside. "What a hoot! He pushed Tao Wu back. This man is no slouch," smiles Sun Qi, watching the fight. "What are you talking about?" Tao Wu asks, holding fireballs in his hands. Filled with rage, the spirit raised its arms above its head, charging the fireballs with its power. "This is ballroom dancing, not an attack," he said. The battle was in full swing. Wang Suho tried to attack from 4 sides, but using the power of fireballs, Tao Wu knocked him down. The guy flew away for a considerable distance from this force, losing his bearings in the space around him. "Well, now it's my turn," said Tao Wu, striking again with his giant fist. But the boy was able to withstand this blow by shielding himself with his sword. "Are you blocking me?" Now you'll get double the amount. The fire spirit strikes again. This fire punch is also deterred by the protagonist, thanks to his sword. What the hell? Not again! How much longer are you going to defend yourself? Tao Wu said furiously. The rage he was filled with seemed like it could explode. This time he pointed both fists at the man at once. They were filled with firepower, forming a huge ball. This guy is one of those who are blinded by his power, thought the protagonist. How many times have I met people like that while protecting the princess? Wang Suho was ready to restrain this power as well. I think I know how to deal with him. He plunged his sword into the ground, using the power of the vortex. At once, stones flew up and whirled in the air. Tao Wu held back the onslaught, preventing it from demolishing himself. Looking at the piles of dust and smoke, he said, "What fun! It appears that your attack can be quite fierce. Shall we see which magic is stronger?" Where did he go? Amidst the thick dust and clouds of smoke, Tao Wu could not see the man. "You fool, he's on your right," Kunchi exclaimed. "What?" Tao Wu turned to face him. From the cloud of smoke and dust, a person's face appeared. It was Wang Suho, holding a sword. He immediately struck a precise blow toward his opponent. "This guy, he had the courage to fight me with some tricks," said Tao Wu angrily. "What are you talking about? Do you think I came to entertain you?" The guy replied, furrowing his brow. Picking up a punch-on sword, the boy said, "Let's get this over with. Take this." And at that moment, he struck the fatal and final blow, cutting the opponent's stomach completely open. With a calm face, Suho said, looking at the other spirits of the cave, "It's over. Who's next?" A few seconds of silence. "Who is it over with?" I hear from the outside. Tao Wu is still alive. The guy did not expect such a turn of events. "I confess I underestimated you," the fiery monster said, smiling. It was as if he was made of fire and had sharp, big teeth. In a moment, he is already on the horned fire devil's list, trying to take away the boy's sword punon. The other monsters standing on the sidelines watched the fight and commented on it. "Tao Wu, are you going to accept your true accounting just to kill some human?" asked one. "It seems like this guy has proved it," said another. "Still, this man is unusual," Hundun thinks. "What is it about him? Sure, he has Pop G, but how can a mere mortal fight Tao Wu like that?" She adds further. "But really, only a celestial could do it." Tao Te began to doubt. "What is this hidden power, I wonder?" The girl's spirit said. Tao Wu took the account of a devil with large thorns, horns, and teeth as sharp as a blade. "Is this his true form?" the boy asked, holding the sword in front of him. Wang Suho did not expect to see him again, and in such a way. But the fight continued and Tao Wu struck out, using his magic hand, from which a red glow flew. The long, fiery tail struck again and again, but the protagonist bravely fought them off. Tao Wu's big angry mouth, or what's left of it after the transformation, speaks. "Let's start the second round." Large, sharp claws are trying to grab hold of the protagonist's body. Tao Wu, like a wave of fire, covers Wang Suho, who is standing bravely in front of him, with his flames. The collision was unavoidable. The impact was so strong that the ground shook and broke into pieces, and the boy flew away from the force wave. With all his strength, Wang Suho slammed his back into the cave wall and casually shouted, "Ouch!" The angry monster headed toward the boy and struck again, but Suho was able to hold it back too, hiding behind Puno's sword. Grabbing up at the speed of light, Tao Wu flew with the boy across the cave. Behind them was a plume of fire that stretched the entire distance. An angry monster with tense muscles, sharp claws, and long, dangerous spikes on its back is trying to destroy the main character with all its might. The stones fly in all directions from the fiery blow of the red monster. It was so strong that Suho flew across the cave, breaking all the stalactites on his way. The protagonist flew, tumbling over himself in the air several times. When he fell to the ground, he showed no signs of life. Tao Wu was happy with what he saw. But it's too early to rejoice. Van Suko struggles to get up from the ground. He is covered in bruises and scratches, but he is alive. "You think you can do it?" Tao Wu said with a fierce smile. Enraged, he grew in size. Its sharp spikes grew more and more along its back, looking terrifying. "Go ahead, dare!" the monster shouted. Suho saw sharp, fiery rays flying at him, originating from the body of Tao Wu himself. As they approached the boy, they exploded, causing devastating wounds. "Damn, he's so fast, and it's almost impossible to predict his movements." The guy was a little despondent about his victory. getting hit time and time again. Suko says, "I need to change my strategy faster." Rejoicing that the man had almost given up, the terrible monster said, "Can you barely defend yourself anymore? It's getting boring. I've even lost the will to fight you." As he fends off the constant attacks of the sharp rays, Wang Suho thinks that the monster is underestimating him and that he should probably try the following actions. He says, "What are you talking about? You think these needles you keep showing off are the greatest magic?" Creating a large fireball to strike again, the monster says, "What a cheap provocation, but I accept your challenge." "This is my last chance," said Van Suho, preparing to repel this force. Tao Wu gathered all his mighty strength and threw it at the boy, hoping that this would be the last blow. And then Wang Suho decided that at this moment he should use the power of the wind, or rather, the birth of the wind. With a swing of his sword, he deflects the fiery invasion that is heading for him. The evil monster spoke to the boy. "Well, didn't work out?" Wang Suho ran at the speed of the wind to meet Tao Wu, intending to strike decisive blows. The monster took a defensive stance. The protagonist pierced the monster's arm with his sword, which the monster used to defend himself. "Ha! I told you couldn't defeat me!" Tao Wu exclaimed with a wicked smile. "No, it's over," the boy said, stretching the hilt of the Pungong sword. The sword blade split into two and flew toward Tao Wu. The monster did not expect such a powerful force that struck him at that time. It screamed in pain with horror on its face. "Hun Dun!" exclaimed one of the spirits. Seeing that the boy was defeating Tao Wu, the girl's spirit could not stand by. She ran toward them, saying, "Enough!" She threw her hair back and opened her large eye. Hun Dun hovered in the air, and her large eyes shone with a bright glow, radiating her magical power, the all-seeing eye. Wang Suho was surprised by what began to happen to his sword. It began to glow a bright blue color, and in an instant, the blade shattered into small pieces. "What does this have to do with the sword of Pune?" the boy shouted angrily. "Popji has fallen under the glow of the all-seeing eye. Now it's dark magic that has lost its former power," the girl said, standing next to Suho. Wang Suho instantly grabbed for the sword he still had, but not in time. The girl's spirit pointed her index finger at the boy, using the shackle of chains magic. "Hey, I asked you not to interfere," Tao Wu said angrily. "There's something more important than your pointless fight," Hun Dun replied. "Something more important? If it's not another spirit, then leave it alone," the fire monster added. "In any case, I know that this man has a source of power," the girl says, plunging her index finger inside the boy's body. In excruciating pain, Wang Suho screams. Dipping her finger in, she says, "What is this? Is it the energy of celestials? But why is it inside a person? It's Guangshongjia. It's his energy," Hun Dun exclaimed. "Ah!" In excruciating pain, Wang Suho began to scream even louder. "Hey, the energy is overwhelming him," the girl's spirit said. "Quickly move away," the others shouted. In an instant, Wang Suho's body began to overflow with internal energy and radiated in different colors. Bang! There was an explosion. All the energy came out, destroying everything around him. A bright light shot up into the sky. The old man noticed this light, and looking into the distance, he whispered, "The seal of the four spirits is broken." Rubbing his graying long beard, he says, "It was a seal that was not supposed to be opened until a month later." This means that someone had just unlocked it by force. While the old man was thinking about what he had seen, a student approached him from behind. Ordinary magic was not enough. "Unseo," the old man called to the student. "Yes, master," he answered. "Find the one who broke the seal of the mountain spirits," the teacher instructed the student. "Of course. What should I do with him when I find him?" asked Unseo. "If he is a good person, then just take the power of the four spirits and give it back. But if he is a rascal who is trying to use it, then kill him," the old man said. "I understand your order, master," replied the disciple. Silence. Everything around us calmed down. In the midst of the dust and smoke from the explosion, Van Suko was lying down. When he opened his eyes, Van Suho couldn't figure out where he was. "What just happened? Where did everyone go?" he said and touched his stomach. "We're here," came a voice from the outside. The guy turned his head to see who was talking to him. And then he sees a small red light coming closer and closer to him. It was Tao Wu. "What? Why are you?" the boy asks. It is a form of our power and energy, the light replies. We are all inside you now, Tao Wu whispered. What? Suho cried out in surprise. Touching his sternum, where his shirt was torn, he said, Does this mean Pop G is here too? Well, this was done to pick on you. Thanks to this, your body is also healed. The spirit continued to speak. But these are the wounds you left me. And why did you decide to cling to me if you only wanted to kill me? Said Suho furiously. At this time, the spirit of Hundun joined them. He, kill. It was just a test, she said, smiling. You fought me and won, so the choice fell on you, Tao Wu added. Confused, Van Suho began to think about what they said. Choose? What were they up to? Flying closer to the boy, the girl's spirit said, He. You don't seem to believe us. But anyway, this is a profitable cooperation. Cooperation? He asked in surprise. We'll finally get out of here, and you can use our strength. How's that for a win-win? She added, smiling. After your atrocities, you offer me cooperation? The guy became even more angry. Are there those who have never done something terrible in their lives? Killed, gossiped, or was greedy? Each of them lives in a greedy and deceitful world where there are only wars and chaos. No matter how good you are, you will still do something wrong at some point. And you seem to be hiding something, Hundun said. At her words, the boy remained silent. But after recovering from his words, he said with a serious expression, No, you will not get what you want. But what was it? His attention was drawn to a sword lying a little further away. The sword of Punyan was completely destroyed. Only the hilt and different sized pieces of the blade were lying on the ground. How can you say nothing? Do you even realize how lucky you are? You have incomparable power, the spirit whispered in my ear. Ah, everything is gone, Suho said as he walked further down the cave. Hey, are you ignoring me now? Tao Wu said as he caught up. In the end, your life depends on our strength, he added. Van Suho did not even notice how quickly they reached the exit of the cave. About 2 hours ago, when stones were still flying and stalactites were crumbling in the cave from the explosion, and Van Suho lost consciousness. We almost got it, the girl's spirit said. Hundun, did you say it has Guangsongji energy? Asked Sun Chi in surprise. That's exactly what I said. Why do you ask? The girl said. Don't you understand? He must be one of his followers. Let's kill him, shouted Sun Chi in anger. Looking at the guy lying casually on the ground, Hundun thought for a moment, but then without hesitation, she knocked away the hand of Kun Chi, who was about to kill the protagonist. The girl's spirit covered Wang Suho's body. Why are you interfering with me? Kun Chi asked angrily. Calm down and listen to me, the girl said. And what do you want to say? The man asked defiantly. He has a drop of residual energy, something that is not like the energy of the followers. She continued to speak. Guangshengja put residual energy in him to give him the strength he needs for the plan. It means that this person is important to him, Hundun explained. Then let's kill him. Get out of the way, Sun Chi shouted insistently. No, then our wish, our mighty revenge, will never be realized, she said. Standing behind Kun Chi, another spirit said, Revenge. You're going to use a human to carry out a plan? That's right. Together we will take revenge on Guangshongjai. We'll throw off these chains and finally be free, the girl said happily, standing next to the boy. To do that, we need to find Quan Sin Ji. And this boy is just the right person, Hundun said as she came closer. So, Kun Chi waited for Sun Chi to continue. If we kill him, we'll miss our chance, she finished her thought. Hundun, you are right. After hundreds of years of imprisonment, we finally have hope, Tao Te said. Damn, Tao Te, Sun Chi whispered in frustration. Hey, Tao Wu, you wanted to kill him so badly, why did you stop now? Kun Chi asked, turning to him. I agree with Hundun. Besides, I like this boy's warrior spirit, Tao Wu replied. Great, Sun Chi, what do you think now? The girl's spirit smiles because almost all the spirits have approved her idea. Damn it, do what you want, but I will not give my powers to this man, Sun Chi replied, furious at the situation. Approaching the column with a bright glow, the girl sighed and picked up the magic circle. Well, the power of 3 will be enough. Hundun, with a wave of her hand, lifted the boy into the air. At this time, her Tao Te spoke up. But he will definitely reject our offer. What will you do if he refuses to cooperate? Tao Te asks. I am Hun Dun. Lying is my middle name, she replies with a smile on her face. Do you think that I, who easily deceived the Celestials, can't now wrap my arms around some human being? I will make him our puppet, the girl said. And at this time, Hun Dun let 3 spirit energies into the boy. The radiance pierced him and gave him incredible strength. It was a beautiful sunny day. Van Suho was walking through the forest talking to the spirits. By the way, what do you do in general? Tao Wu asked him. I am Wang Suho. I serve in the Lion and Tiger Brigade at the Imperial Palace, the boy replied. In the Imperial Palace? Isn't that the place where Celestials live? Hun Dun asked in surprise. What? You're guarding the home of the Celestials, added Tao Wu. Non-gods? Hundreds of years ago they left heaven, and now they are gone. And I am guarding the Imperial Palace, Suho answered them. What did you just say? The deities have disappeared, said Hun Dun nervously. Is it true? Asked Tao Wu, transforming from a small light into a man. So Kwang Shungjia has disappeared too? He asked the boy angrily. Not understanding what he was talking about, Wang Suho asked, Kwang Shungjia? Who is that? Fool, he has a piece of his residual energy inside him, the girl's spirit whispered. But the fire spirit wanted to argue. Realizing that something was being hidden from him, Wang Suho furrowed his brow and asked, Apparently, you pierced my sternum because of a certain Quan Song Ji? The spirits were a bit stunned by the question. After thinking about it for a while, Hun Dun said, To tell you the truth, I don't think you have his energy. Wang Suho remained silent. You're his follower, aren't you? You're such a frail little man. No, I'm sure you're not, she added. Tao Wu, hugging Wang Suho, said, Well, the best part is that these Celestials have finally disappeared. In a world without them, there is no one who can stand up to us. And you will be the strongest of them all. Ha ha ha. The fire spirit laughed loudly. Get lost, the boy shouted from under Tao Wu's arm. They're not trustworthy at all, but for now we just have to wait and see, he whispered to himself, looking at the ruined house in the distance. A large brown eagle was flying near the waterfall, but it was no ordinary bird. When it landed, it turned into a boy. It was Un Seo. He wiped the cave to dust. Who is he? The boy said, looking around. A golden feather was falling near him. Looking around the cave, Un Seo says, What are these traces of a fierce struggle? It seems to be quite fierce. Well, show me its appearance. Reveal to me the past of this cave, said the boy, throwing magical yellow cards in the air. Un Seo stood in the center of the cave, and magic cards flew around him in search of the answer he needed. This magic is called the third eye. The main 4 cards showed everything that happened in the cave. So, he refused the offer of the 4 spirits and managed to fight. Wait, are these the clothes of the warriors from Yonagun? The boy was surprised. This guy from the Dragon and Tiger Brigade was able to open the seal? Who the hell is he? Un Seo asked himself. A new day has come. The sun is shining on everything around us, as if to show us that in the midst of the terrible and the bad, there is always light, hope for the best. The yard for training. Van Suho at first light exercises his muscles. Passing by, she saw Van Suho training. She did not expect to see him so early. Approaching the boy, she asked, Suha, you were supposed to be on vacation. Without looking at anyone, he answers, I've already done everything I wanted to do. That's why I came back so early. You're going to train as soon as you get back? You know, you're so strange, I heard from behind Suho. What's so strange about a soldier having to train? The guy replied. Hey, while you're on vacation, you should enjoy your leisure time and relax, right, Ginhee? The girl asked. Come on, it's none of our business, Kyung-hee said, walking away from the guy. The girl looked at him in surprise. The girl wanted to make the boys reconcile. Guys, what's wrong with you? You are both very strange, she said. Did Lim Chong's commander call us? Shouldn't we hurry? Gun-hee asked, looking at the girl. Oh, right, she replied. Catching up with the guy, the girl said, Suho, let's have a drink and talk later, okay? Van Suho nodded his head in approval. Suho stood for a while and began to think. If I don't know the reason why Gun-hee betrayed me, I need to keep my distance from him. Again, a small colored blob of air appeared out of nowhere. It was the spirit of Hun Dun. I see you two don't have a good relationship, she asked Suho, to which he replied to her menacingly, Shut up! No more showing up in places where there are people whenever you want, Wasuho added. Hey, they're not here now, the spirit replied. You know, you don't need this training at all, the fire spirit exclaimed from the other side. What? The boy asked, turning his head to the other side. By using my power, your power will increase several times. So why would you want to do that now? Tao Wu said, smiling. Wang Suho looked down at the ground, thinking about his words. You don't believe me? The spirit added. In an instant, Tao Wu decided to show all his strength. He entered the boy's body and said, Okay, then I'll show you how strong you can be. Well, try it, said Tao Wu, who was in the boy's chest. Van Suho was surprised by the surge of new strength and opportunities. He could swing weights that he had barely lifted before in different directions, with a single wave of his hand. Throwing the heavy equipment with ease, the guy says, Heavy weights are as light as a feather. What speed, Yenisuko says, jumping up and down and using various wrestling techniques. What strength and reaction, he adds with interest. What a good eye, exclaimed the main character. Don't you realize that all your vitals have gone up? He heard from the outside. Touching his strong and manly body, the boy said, This should be used. Do you understand now? You don't need all this training. Tao Wu continued to convince him. Glancing at the little talking light, Van Suho said, It's not. But Tao Wu did not understand. Of course, I'm several times stronger now than I was before. But don't you think that if I continue to train, I can get even stronger? Asked the boy. The spirit replied, Huh? Yes, but the guy decided not to listen to the arguments any further. Then don't bother me, said Suho, and decided to continue training. A few days later, a bird flew to Yonagun Palace. When it landed, it turned to look at Unseo. It's been a long time since I've seen myself like this, the guy said, changing everyone's appearance. After his reincarnation, he immediately ran in search of Wang Suho, but he was met by 3 defenders of the palace. One of them said, What business have you come to Yonghagun Palace for? I am Sage Changchun from Mount Chongyongsan. I've come to see Chancellor Gunshin, the man replied, holding up a map. One of the defenders bowed before the man, folding his hands in front of him. Sage Changchun, we welcome you. Thank you for your hospitality, the man replied. Sometime later, Sage Changchun and Chancellor Gyeongshin met in the courtyard of Yonghagun Palace. It's been a long time. I hope you are well. The Chancellor was the first to speak. The mountain air has done me good. I was training and didn't notice the time passing, the man replied. They went to the tea room and decided to talk. You had another reason, didn't you? Hyungshin asked. Who knows, the wise man replied. The Chancellor invited him to sit down. You came here so suddenly. Did something happen? The man asked. I just had some business not far from the capital, so I decided to drop by and see you. I would like to have an audience with the princess. But will I be able to? Sage Changchun replied while drinking tea. Of course. For the princess's mentor, this is certainly possible, said the Chancellor, smiling. Continuing the conversation, the man asks, How is Her Highness's health? Fortunately, everything is fine. She's getting stronger every day, Kyungshin replied. I'm glad to hear that, but it must be very difficult for her right now because of her energy. While I'm here, can I keep an eye on the princess? The wise man asks, his face calm. Of course, Her Highness will be very pleased, Chancellor Gunshin replied. After taking a few sips of tea, he added, Then you will stay in Suchin as before. The man replied, Thank you for your hospitality. Great, I can stay at Yonghagun Palace for a while. That way it'll be easier to find this guy. Besides, I have to check the princess's energy. After finishing the tea party, Chancellor Gungyun Shin decided to see his guest off and continue the conversation. Sage Changchun was walking behind the Chancellor and saw a young man standing at the post. For some reason, he caught his attention for a moment. Coming a little closer, he was surprised by what he saw. It was him, the guy from the card reading, the one who took the power of the spirits. The sage decided to waste no time and approached the boy, saying, How cheerfully a warrior approaches his duties. What is your name? The defense lawyer immediately bowed down and answered the man. Sir, I am Wang Suho of the Lion and Tiger Brigade. Wang Suho, not a bad name. After some thought, the man said, I am Sage Changchun. What do you think about Tao? He was interested in the boy's answer, because Tao is the way of man. That is, moral behavior and a social order based on morality. I'm a warrior, so I've never thought about it, Suho replied without raising his head. Even if you are a warrior, you need to be able to control yourself. Otherwise, how will you use PUBG? You need to learn more about Tao, the sage said. A little hesitantly, the boy agreed. But I am the most ordinary fighter. I don't think I'll ever be able to use Pop G, Suho replied. Is that so? If you want to know anything about Pop G, come to Suchi Oden, the sage said with a smile. Of course, the boy replied. The sage Changchun decided to return to Chancellor Gyeongshin. He immediately asked if he knew the man. The man replied, no, but he has a good aura, so I was curious. Wang Suho remained at his post while Chancellor Gun Shin and his guest headed for Sukeon. Ho ho, even the sage Changchun said that. Now I'm jealous. As he watched them go, Wang Suho began to think about how strange this man was. He may be the princess's mentor, but he was also not there when Her Highness was in danger. And here is Chancellor Gun Shin. He is the main culprit who caused the death of the princess. The boy's anger overwhelmed him, and his hand clenched his fist as if preparing to strike. Gyeongshin is the man who put Yangshon on the throne and became chancellor. He is the one who sent those mercenaries to kill the princess. He is the enemy I must get rid of first. Suho could only think that if only he had the sword of Punyan now, he would be able to punish him. Well, I found him. Now I have to keep a close eye on him. Remembering the boy, the sage Changchun told himself that whoever he was, everything would soon fall into place. The day was just wonderful. The sun was shining on the palace from all sides. The sky was bright blue with white clouds. Teacher, I hope you are feeling well. I have been waiting for you to visit the palace, the princess says, sincerely happy as she approaches him. Bowing before the princess, the sage says, Your Highness, I see that you are full of strength and energy. You need to punish your servant for making you wait so long. At his words, the princess smiled and said, You are following the life of an ascetic. Please do not pay attention to our strict rules. With his eyes closed and a smile on his face, Sage Changchun enjoyed the princess's words. He wondered how such a miserable father could raise such a wonderful daughter. Tea is ready, sit down, the girl said, smiling at her guest. Did what I told you about the world of celestials help? The man asked. Yes, the magic techniques have become familiar, and the energy seems to overwhelm me, replied the princess. You have achieved great things. Is my asking you to test your energy so bold? The sage asked, happy for the princess. The girl answered this question with a smile on her face. You shouldn't even ask about that. After a favorable response, Sage Changchun touched the girl's hand with his palm. The teacher told him to check everything perfectly because she had a gift, but she was just an ordinary person. The girl spoke softly. Following your instructions, I tried to develop my energy. After the princess's words, the man felt the energy under his hand. Sage Changchun began to squeeze the girl's hand very hard. Out of surprise, the princess began to scream very loudly. Ouch! Teacher, what is wrong with you? His face boiled with anger and pain. Stop this cycle of energy right now. Hurry up, he shouted. The girl was very scared. Her eyes conveyed all the horror and despair. The princess could only say, Why are you suddenly? She felt a strange sensation. What is this? The princess began to cough up blood. Inside, the girl felt as if she was being torn into small pieces. She clutched her chest in pain and tried to hide inside herself. Her assistants came running to hear her scream, and with horror on their faces, they could only exclaim, Your Highness! The princess lost consciousness and balance. The sage Changchun just managed to catch her. The girl's assistant said, What happened to the princess? The man just said with anger on his face, There is a lot of energy inside the princess. I'll keep an eye on her, and you quickly call a doctor. Holding the girl in his arms, the man added, To calm the energy, we need to prepare Sondan. Tell the palace that we need Seogyeongchi. Nothing will work without this ingredient. We understand everything. Hearing everything the wise man said, the girls immediately ran to the palace. On the training field, all the defenders of the palace were training. Suddenly they heard, Attention! Urgent gathering of Yorimba's soldiers at the stadium. What happened? In Kyung-hee asked. I have no idea. It doesn't seem like a school emergency, she said. Having gathered all the warriors at the stadium, the captain began his speech. Warriors of Urimwi, we are immediately going to the Unryong mountain range to search for Seogyeongchi. Seogyeongchi? That's what we were looking for when the princess fainted. Wang Suho began to recall what had happened earlier. Wait a minute, you mean to tell me that something has happened to Her Highness? The boy was very frightened by what he heard. The captain continued to speak. It will take 4 days to walk from here to the ridge, so we'll ride horses. Let's leave immediately. In response, the soldiers shouted unanimously, "Yes!" Wang Suho spoke with a furrowed brow. "I'm sure, seeing this rush, something has happened to the princess." "You fool, why are you still here? Hurry up," the captain said as he passed Suko. After a little hesitation, the boy answered, "Oh, yes." After these words, Van Suho immediately ran to catch up with the others. The past in which he found himself is slowly changing. "Everyone on your horses!" shouted a man who was already sitting on a noble black horse. Jumping on his horse, Suho began to think about whether it was possible that it was all because of the sage Changchun. With all his might, the captain shouted, "Let's go!" At the same time, a column of Arimwa warriors on horseback was setting off. "Have they left?" an unknown man asked, not turning to the interlocutor. "They just left in a hurry," the boy answered. Looking back, the owner added, "It's a pity that they won't be able to reach the Seogyeongchi. Do everything you can to stop the dragon and tiger from coming, and if necessary, kill them all. There should be about 100 of them. Can you do it?" Jin Quan. He looked up and smiled and answered, "Of course. Such warriors can be wiped out in a matter of hours." It was so dark in the room that the man's face was barely visible. He said, "This is a big deal. Deal with anyone who tries to take the herb." Jin Quan finally bowed to the man who was standing with his back to him and replied, "I have accepted your order." The road was long and difficult. It stretched through high mountains and rocky peaks. When they arrived at the right place, the entire unit stopped and waited for the captain's order. He spoke, pointing with his hand, "Search everything thoroughly to find Seogyeongchi. 10 men will stay and deal with the food. The order is clear. Be careful and go!" The man finally shouted. "Let's go!" The warriors shouted together. They ran off to find him as fast as they could at the speed of light. Running first, Wang Suho thought that he had found this grass before, so this time he would easily manage it. He tried to run even faster because he wanted to bring it to the princess as soon as possible. At one point, the spirit of Hundun appeared and asked, "Why are you so eager to find Seogyeongchi?" Wang Suho replied without being distracted, "What? It is my task." The spirit smiled and said, "Hey, I'm looking at you, and I see that you are very worried. Why are you in such a hurry, ah?" Hundun continued to ask, to which the boy just kept silent and ran on. He quickly overcame the obstacles, climbing up the rocky slopes. "All this to protect the princess," Suho said. "What does she have to do with it? Of course you have to protect her, but there are so many warriors like her," the spirit said in surprise. "Have you really fallen in love with her?" Tao Wu's spirit asked, suddenly appearing. "What kind of nonsense are you talking about?" the boy said angrily. "I swore an oath to protect the princess. No one in this army can save her. Only I can," Suho added. "Why are you so angry? I don't understand it," said Hundun. Wang Suho came to a large rock together with Hundun and Tao Wu. The spirits asked him if he should climb it. They answered in the affirmative. He left his sword on the ground and tried to climb the rock. At this time, Tao Wu asked if he needed any strength of mind, but Suho decided to try to climb on his own, without anyone's help. Time after time, the defender managed to climb the rock very well. Only once did he almost fall because he grabbed an unstable rock. After a while, he finally managed to climb to the right height, where the right ingredient was located. Hundun was a little surprised. He found them so quickly, as if he knew where they might be. It's a bit suspicious. After putting Seogyeongchi in a bag, the boy decided to go down the mountain and return to the capital. The descent was much easier and faster. As soon as Suho set foot on the ground, he noticed that the fog was getting thicker and thicker. As he walked deeper into the fog, he hit his foot on something lying on the ground. He tried to see what it was, but when he saw it, he was frozen with horror. "What the? A corpse?" Van Suko saw another warrior lying backwards in front of him. He had a sword sticking out of his back. "The warrior Orija. Who killed him?" the protagonist said with horror on his face. Before he could recover from what he saw, he heard strange sounds coming from the depths of the forest. Without hesitation, he immediately ran toward the sounds. What the hell was going on here? In the middle of the forest, there was a battle between Jin Kwang, In Gun Hee, and Han Se-kyung. The girl was already wounded in the stomach, and the boy was trying to defend her and himself from the attacker. When Wang Suho saw what was happening, he wondered at first why In Gun Hee and Han Se-kyung were here together. But then he remembered that the boy had gone with him the previous time, and this time he decided to go with the girl. "Are you going to interfere, even if you have to hurry to give the medicinal herb to the princess?" said Hundun. "Besides, you don't have the best relationship with that guy," she added. "That's true, but If I do what Hun Dun says, the relationship between the two of us will definitely deteriorate, Suho began to think. And later he would cheat on the princess. Wang Suho recalled the image of In Gun-hee pointing his bow and arrows at him. If he dies here, that's one less problem. But what if he should survive? While Wang Suho was considering whether to intervene and help In Gun-hee in the battle continued. Jin Quan, with a smile on his face, delivered one after another precise and powerful blows. And now you're going to die for sure. Jin Quan struck his sword with all his might, causing sparks to fly from the collision with In Gun-hee's sword. The boy's sword could not withstand this strong blow and flew in small pieces in different directions. The next blow fell on In Gun-hee. I heard him scream and saw blood fly. Van Suho could not stand by and watch his friend being killed. He ran to help, saying, "Hey, are you serious about fighting?" Jin Kwang turned to hear the boy's words coming from somewhere behind him. Who's that?" He saw Wang Suho running toward him with all his might, full of anger and with the desire to kill him. The protagonist tried to strike first, but the attacker had a shield of several swords on his back, one of which flew out to meet Wang Suho's sword and deflected the blow. "What the? This sword is moving by itself?" The defender could not have expected this. "Suho, he's got Pop G!" In Gun-hee and Han Se-kyung shouted together as they stood off to the side. "Another fool who wants to die as soon as possible?" Jin Kwan's eyes are filled with the desire to kill. He found out that I had a Pop G, so what? On the attacker's arm, you could see a place with a red bracelet that had power. Jin Kwan launched his swords, which began to spin around him in the air. This way they could do more damage. "This is what they can do. I'll cut you into little pieces," said the attacker. "What the?" Wang Suho could only say as he saw 4 sharp swords flying at him. The protagonist stood at ease and waited for the opportunity to repel this attack. The strong blows of the enemy made stones and earth rise up in front of him. Wang Suho raised his sword and swung it very hard, thus repelling the attack of the sharp swords. Jin Kwang's face was scrunched up and he said, "By dancing you oppose the power of God in the wind? Well, what about her?" the attacker said, looking in Han Se-kyung's direction, and at the same time, he pointed his sharp swords at her. "Damn it." Wang Suho tried to stop the cycle of flying swords with his sword. Glad that the boyfriend stood up for her, the girl said, "Thank you, Suha. Thanks to you, I'm still..." Before she could finish, she was like, "What is this?" "Look around," where Jin Kwang said, standing behind Suho. He swung for the next blow. The guy looked back and managed to dodge the attacker's strong blow in time. But from the magical power of the sword, he flew away, only shouting, "Ah!" "You decided to unceremoniously intervene when you cannot take care of yourself? What a senseless death!" Jin Kwang shouted, swinging his sword. "Stop! What is this?" The attacker barely had time to defend himself with his sword against the unexpected arrow attack from the side. He looked back and saw In Gun-hee pointing his bow at him, ready to strike again. Wang Suho stood next to the girl and realized that he was alive now, only because of In Gun-hee. "He saved me, not left me to die. Of course, we have to cooperate to put this guy down." "I'll fight him with my sword and you attack him from afar," shouted Van Suho to his friend. "Got it," In Gun-hee shouted to him, pointing his bow at the attacker. "Just look at them. Do you feel brave?" Jin Kwan mockingly said. "Do these kids think they can actually beat me?" The man raised his hand with the red mark to activate Pop G and strike. His swords immediately flew out at the speed of light toward Wang Suho. Not only were they very sharp, but they were also filled with flames in the air. But at the same time, they were repelled by arrows fired by In Gun-hee. Jin Kwan was very angry about this. "This guy!" And then he decided to direct the attack of his swords at him. In Gun-hee immediately pointed his bow toward the attacker and launched his arrows to repel the danger heading his way. The arrows repelled all the swords. "You shot arrows against my swords?" Jin Kwan shouted in anger. "But what is it?" Wang Suho suddenly said, running up to Jin Kwan. "What are you looking at?" The guy started throwing punches. The fight between Suko and Kwan began. One of the blows hit Jin Kwan right in the arm, the same hand that held Pop G's power. The attacker grabbed the sword blade, blood spurted out in all directions. The man was initially frightened by this blow, and then became very angry, thereby activating Pop G's powers. With a single wave of his hand, the fire swords immediately flew in the direction of Suho from all sides. The guy barely managed to escape from these fiery swords. Jin Kwan stood at ease in his seat, raising his left hand in the air as fire swords flew out from behind him one by one. Pointing his hand with the power of Pop G, he said, Now that's enough. Leave nothing of them. This time, Jin Quan used the power of the tornado, which destroyed everything in its path. Seogyung, get out of here quickly, Wang Suho said. The girl was a little confused and answered, "Oh, yes, okay." She was wounded in the left arm and leg. For her safety, she moved away from the battlefield. As he watched Seo-kyung leave, the boy whispered, "She won't last long with that leg." Wang Suho tried to repel the mighty force of the tornado with his sword, which was coming closer and closer to him. In an instant, he remembered his spirits. Won't they do anything? Tao Wu, what do you want? The spirit asked. Will you give me strength if I decide not to retreat and fight him? The boy asked. Of course, I want to fight him, replied Tao Wu happily. Then quickly give me your powers, the boy said loudly. Tao Wu was very happy. This is wonderful. He had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. I need you to make sure that you feel the power in this body, the spirit said, and he penetrated the middle of the boy's sternum. Try it right away. How do you like your eyesight? Tao asked the boy. He opened his eyes and clearly saw sharp swords flying at him. All the movements are clearly visible. This is Yokonen. If you focus on your energy, everything around you will slow down. If you have Yuchonen and your strength has increased several times, this guy will be easy to deal with, Tao Wu said while inside the young man's body. Well, let's go, exclaimed Wang Suho. The guy just looked at the swords that were flying at him and directed all his strength into his eyes. This is a good thing, exclaimed Suho. All the swords that flew at him were instantly deflected and lost their course at his glance. You escaped from my tordo? Shouted Jin Quan in anger. Gun-hei! Suho shouted, signaling for the strike. The boy instantly shot his sharp arrows from his bow. One of the arrows hit Jin Quan right in the back. At that moment, when the man was distracted by his wound, Van Suho ran up to him from the other side. Screaming and with an arrow in his back, the man drew his sword from behind to continue the fight with Suko. The fight continues. Suho throws punches, but Quan parries them well. Whew! The defender is a little tired, but decided to concentrate on the main shot. Using all the power given to him by the spirit of Tao Wu, Wang Suho struck a fatal blow. Like lightning, he pierced Jin Quan's body. Oh no, the man whispered, falling to his knees. Tell me, who sent you? Why did you attack us? Suho approached him, pointing his sword at his neck. Without looking at him, Jin Kyung said under his breath, Isn't that interesting? At that moment, the Pop-G on the man's arm began to activate. This whole attack on the army, there is no animosity here. The man began to stall and distract. He only wanted you to die, the man said, sitting on his knees. Him? Van Suho said, thinking a little. This is his tactic. Dodge! The spirit of Hun Dun shouted as he stood next to the boy. At that moment, Jin Kwang started to get to his feet, and under his hand, which has Pop-G's power, a black circle appeared, growing in size. Now you're going to find out what Dosun's hell is. It's obvious you had an ace up your sleeve. But now it's too late, the man said. His gaze was filled with a lust for murder. Van Suho was surprised by what he saw. A black mist was growing around them. What is this? Kill him, Ing Jong-hee shouted. Damn, I can't move, Van Suho said. The hand that held his sword seemed to be numbed by a spell. Do you know why you can't move? The man from whom the magic came asked with a smile. It's because of the gravity of your sins. You should know the essence of the law of karma, he said angrily. How many dead people have a grudge against you? Quan added. Wang Suho could not understand what kind of dead people they were talking about. What is this? Dead people began to appear from some abyss and surround the boy. They had characteristic wounds from swords and arrows, completely piercing their bodies. Hundreds of dead souls reached out to Van Suko, trying to drag him into the abyss. They were women and men who wanted the young man dead. Their eyes were shining like lights. What the hell is this? Han Si-kyung exclaimed in fright. This is not real, we're imagining it, Ing Jong-hee exclaimed. And pointing his bow at the dead, he fired. The arrow flew straight into the crowd of dead. Not for real? Jin Kwang asked, looking back at the boy. All the dead people looked back as well. To be honest, those who first saw Adosin also did not believe, but they died anyway. You will soon see for yourselves the truth of my word, the man said happily. Shit, the girl exclaimed. Behind her was a dead man with an arrow through his head. Ing Jong-hee was also surrounded. Is this really happening now? He asked nervously. With a calm face, Wang Suho said, I'll take care of them, go. You should have taken care of yourself, Jin Quan whispered. All the dead were rushing towards Suko. One of them reached for his leg, grabbed it tightly and bit it. "The dead will show you the way to hell," the man shouted. His eyes conveyed all this horror, all hell. Van Suho was surrounded so much that he could do nothing but scream in pain. He was being bitten and clawed at. At this time, the spirit of Tao Wu, who was in the boy's body, screamed, "Hundun, hurry up and give him your strength." "The power of Hundun? Are you talking about the death thirst of others?" Suho said through the pain. "Do you think you can make me do it?" The guy resisted. "What a stubborn sheep. Are you going to die?" Tao Wu said angrily. Hundreds of thousands of dead piled up on Van Suko. Only his screams could be heard, and Jin Quan stood aside and admired this picture. A moment, and it is heard. "In the name of Hundun, I command you, descend from the heavens, O steel sword and armor." And at this time, a bright red radiance came down to the earth. This radiance blinded everyone around. Huh? What? What a bright light. In the center of this light was the image of Suko, and all the dead people around him simply burned to ashes. Van Suho appeared before us, dressed in strong steel armor and covered with beautiful red feathers. "This armor," Jin Quan said angrily when he saw the boy alive. "If you decide to fight Pop G from hell, what does it matter if you die now?" Hundun said, not very optimistically. "This weapon is the exact opposite of his powers. If you don't want to die, then fight with this," the spirit shouted, pointing to the sword filled with power. "Damn it, take him!" the man shouted, pointing to Suko. One swing of the sword and the dead are scattered in different directions. This blow is like a fiery bolt of lightning that pierces the body, burning it to ashes. Jin Quan sees the boy destroying his army of the dead, one by one. This power? The man decided to ask for protection from his Pop G, summoning the power of the swords of hell. At the same time, pointing these swords at the boy, he said, "You can't handle this." Pointing with his hand to the direction of the blow, he added, "Go ahead, cut him into small pieces." The sharp swords, like the sharp fangs of some monster, were pointed at the protagonist. They aimed to destroy him, piercing his body like a small grain of sand. It looks like hell's swords. "Concentrate and destroy them," said Hundun fiercely. Wang Suho, holding it tightly with both hands, raised his sword above him. Whoo! The sword was filled with the necessary energy and power. With a swing of his sword, all the swords that were flying to kill the boy were instantly shattered into small pieces. The man with horror on his face just shouted, "My swords of hell!" Shit! Pop G stepped up to the plate and began to drag Jin Quan into the tornado. Everything spun around, stones were flying, the ground was rising. "Where did he go?" Van Suho asked in surprise, looking at the spot where the man had been standing a minute ago. "What is this?" The feathers flew apart, the armor disintegrated into small pieces, and a bright light shone in the boy's chest. Something pinched in his chest. Blood spurted out, and Suko fell to his knees, holding his hand on his chest. Tao Wu, who was behind the boy, was also surprised by what he saw. And then Suho heard the words, "This is the most I can give you." Approaching the boy from behind, Han Se-kyung asked, "Suho, are you okay?" Without answering, he just looked in her direction. "This armor and sword? They look like Pop G's. When did you get them?" And Gun-hee said in confusion. Suho remained silent. After thinking for a while, he said, "There's no time to explain. Let's take Seogyeongchi to the palace." "Have you already found him?" the girl asked in surprise. "Yes, I heard a noise when I was coming down the mountain, and then I saw you," Suho explained to her. "So you're—" In Kyung-hee said at first, confused. But then, along with Se-kyung, he said, "Thank you for helping us, Suho. If it weren't for you, we would have been lying there dead." The words he heard confused the boy a bit, but after a little thought, he ran on without a word. "Hey, first heal yourself, and then run for your life," Tao Wu exclaimed. To which the boy replied, I will live." And he ran on without stopping. "And what's with the armor and sword? Doesn't that all belong to the Celestials?" Suho asked. "It may seem so to you, but in reality, it's all fake," the spirit answered. The boy was surprised to hear these words. Hundun once pretended to be a celestial and even lived with them. At that time, she used their power through the Pop G she received. Tao Wu began to explain. "What, a fake?" Hundun said angrily, appearing beside them. "This is my power, so why is it considered fake?" she continued to say. Van Suho was confused by only one thing. Why did he kill our soldiers? What was his goal? "If he's targeting Her Highness, I'll find him and finish him off," the boy thought to himself as he ran. Closing his eyes, the man saw everything as if it were real. How unexpected and interesting. The struggle between the forces of the four spirits and Pop G from hell. Opening his eyes, he said, I could not even imagine this. However, Wang Suho did not use their powers for selfish interests. I guess I'll close my eyes to this for now. But Pop G from hell is another matter. I have to figure it out, said the sage Chung Chon, looking at the magic card. The princess's assistant came into the room and distracted the man from his predictions, saying, Wise man, something has happened. What is it? He asked. The girl cried out in alarm. Her Highness's condition has worsened. Let's go quickly to Yanagun Palace. Turning to the girl, he calmly replied, Okay, I'll be right there. The time was approaching night. The princess was in her room lying in bed. She was unconscious and was only mumbling chaotic words. Ah, no, ah. The princess's assistants were always at her bedside. What should we do? It's her whistling breathing, said one. Sage Chang Chon will come soon, another one reassured. And then something incredible happened. The princess instantly opened her eyes, filled with tears. In an instant, the girl's body flew up and began to radiate a bright glow. From this powerful force, the princess's assistants immediately flew away like feathers from a gentle wind. The girls were caught by the sage Chang Chon, who came into the room at that moment. Are you all right? He asked, holding his assistants by the shoulders. Yes, one of them said quietly. Then you need to move away, the man said. Seeing the girl hanging in the air and radiating light, the sage said, Does the energy continue to grow? Without regaining consciousness, the princess began to speak again. Why do you want to kill me? She said. She must be having a nightmare. All this must be causing the princess to have visions, the man whispered. I have to bring her back to life, the sage said, taking out a magic card from his pocket. The sage Chang Chon stood next to the princess and began to recite the necessary spell. Circle of suffering and serenity, the stars in the sky, life and death, expulsion of evil, self-healing, great wisdom, harmony of mind and body, eternity, impermanence. Get out of this body and leave it alone. The magic cards flew around the princess and disappeared. Thus the magic spell was working. Darkness. The princess is trying to escape from mysterious attackers. The girl with horror on her face asks for help as they catch up with her. The mysterious attackers, like those terrible monsters, opened their mouths and grabbed her. It was as if there was a princess in a fiery belt. All the attackers surrounded her and tried to squeeze her in their hands. Everything was on fire. All I could hear was, Someone, save me! At that moment, a mysterious hero with a long cloak and a sword in his hand appeared out of nowhere. With a single swing of his sword, he destroyed all the villains who surrounded the princess. Is he protecting me? The princess said, confused, standing behind her husband. Looking at her protector from the back, she was interested in only one question. Who is he? Such a brave guy, with long blue hair pulled back in a ponytail. Your Highness, are you hurt? The guy asked, looking around. And at that moment, the princess saw his face and exclaimed, Is that him? A bright glow. The princess slowly began to regain consciousness. The first thing she saw were the faces of her assistants. After all, they had been there all along. Unanimously, they exclaimed, Your Highness! What happened? Said the princess. Her assistants and the sage Chang Chon stood by her bedside. The energy was raging, and you lost consciousness. You will soon be able to get back on your feet, but for this you must calm down and restore your mental balance, the sage explained to her. Thank you, teacher, the princess said, smiling. But what kind of dream was it? Why did I dream it? She thought as she lay in her room. Closing her eyes for a moment, she whispered, He was so strange. Sage Chang Chon began to think about why the energy inside the princess began to increase. There are cases when this happens because of emotional pain, but this can only happen when a person has gone through terrible suffering. But I don't think the princess could have experienced this. The princess's assistant distracted him from his thoughts again. Excuse me, is Her Highness going to be okay? The girl asked. Don't worry, the princess will soon be brought Sondan, the wise man replied. For a moment he remembered that he hadn't decided anything about the powers of the four spirits. And now there was the problem of the princess's energy, how his head hurt from these thoughts. It was nighttime. The mysterious man in the darkness spoke. Pop G of some warrior was able to resist your power? Jinquan, kneeling and bowing to him, replied, Yes, master. His Pop G is the exact opposite of my magic. This must be no ordinary army. Who could have such a powerful Pop G? The man began to think. And the dam can be destroyed because of antholes. The slightest carelessness can destroy all our plans. The mysterious man continued to speak. Turning to Jin Quan, the man waved his hand and shouted, "Find him! Find out who he is and what kind of Pop G he has. You will come back and tell me everything, and then I will decide whether to make him our ally or just kill him," the man said angrily. "I understand your order," Jin Quan replied without rising and without looking at the man. He only whispered to himself, "Make an ally?" The morning of a new day came. An assistant came into the princess's room and said, "Your Highness, here's your sondan," holding out a tray with a plate containing a ball. After thanking the girl, the princess immediately pulled it into her mouth. The sondan tasted so disgusting that the girl could hardly stop herself from spitting it out. But the sage began to calm her down with words. "This will help to calm the energy that is raging in you. Concentrate it in one point of your body." The princess listened to Chang Chun's words and seemed to fall into a trance, calming her energy. What is this? With her eyes closed, the princess saw a large layer of energy inside her body. When did so much energy come together? While in a trance, the girl tried to cope with her energy. "I can't control it." After these words, the girl's body began to shine with a blue glow again. "I will help you. Now the energy will be under control," the sage said, touching the princess's back with his palm. "It's okay that you can't conquer this force right away. So relax," Chang Chun added. After he said that, the princess felt calmer and the glow began to fade. Little by little, everything will work out. The girl tried to do everything as the wise man told her. The energy has no weight. It slowly fades away. It shrinks, becoming a small cloud. The princess opened her eyes, and at that moment, having completely calmed her energy, the girl gained full control over it. "You did it!" the assistants shouted joyfully as they watched from the sidelines. "Thank you," replied the princess. The sage Chang Chun only added, "And yet, be careful for now." Bowing to the sage, the girl said, "Everything ended safely thanks to you, teacher. My merit is not that great. Many people helped in the preparation of Sandan, especially those who sacrificed their lives trying to find the right ingredients," the man said. "What, is someone hurt?" the princess asked, horrified. "It has been reported that someone attacked the detachment in an attempt to prevent the search for Sogyongchi," the sage said. "We have to catch the criminal and comfort the families of the victims. And the one who brought Sogyongchi should be rewarded," the girl said. I think it will be problematic," the man replied. "What is it?" The girl looked at him. "As soon as the one who brought Sogyongchi returned to the palace, he was thrown into prison," said the sage. "What?" the princess exclaimed. "Who is he? Why was he thrown into prison?" The princess shouted out in displeasure. "This is Wang Suho from the Lion and Tiger Brigade. His crime is that he used Pop G without the palace's permission," Chang Chun explained. "Van, is it dry?" The princess remembered her dream in which she saw her protector, and it was him, Van Suho. Prison cells. Suko was in one of them. Without wasting his time, the guy decided to practice handstands. "Hey guy, how can you even play sports in a situation like this, huh?" asked Tao Wu. "Let's just destroy everything here and run away," the spirit said angrily. "If I run away now, my situation will only get worse," Suho replied, keeping his body balanced. "And yet, out of all the options, you decided to just stay here?" Hundun interjected. "Among all the options, I don't have any," the guy replied reasonably. "What? You're a complete fool, aren't you? How much longer are you going to wither away here?" Tao Wu became even more angry. "I don't know," Van Suho answered a little bit downcast. "When I saved Han Se and In Yong Hee and decided to use Pop Gi, I didn't even realize that I could get into this situation." "Van Suko, this is your merit," the commander exclaimed joyfully. "As soon as we get back to Yonaguni Palace, I'll report you right away," the man added. "Thank you," said the boy, standing in front of all the soldiers. "Commander Joe Becco, I have something to tell you," the captain said, running forward. "What is it?" the commander asked. The captain, taking the soldier with him, approached the commander. At that time, the boy told the commander in his ear that Wang Suho had used Pop G's powers. Standing behind Suho, Se-kyung and In Kyung Hee spoke up. "Suho, I swear we didn't tell anyone." Hearing the soldier's story, Commander Joe Becco exclaimed, "Van Suho, answer me." "Yes," the boy replied, folding his hands behind him. "Commander Lim Chongi found a huge hole near the place where you fought, and he found a magic sword near it. If your opponent used Pop G, how did you manage to win? Shouted Commander Joe Becco. Yeah. Wang Suho couldn't get another word out, lowering his eyes to the ground. Even a low-level Pop G is equivalent to 100 of our soldiers. You mean to tell me you defeated him using only martial arts? The man said angrily. Se-kyung could not stand the boy's public harassment. She exclaimed, Suho did not abandon us, fighting to the very end. He saved us. So you are all accomplices? Capture them, the commander ordered. All the soldiers accepted the commander's order and surrounded Wang Suho from all sides, pointing their swords at him. Oh, they had nothing to do with it. I'm the one who used Pop G, Suho said. Do you realize that this is a crime? Capture Van Suho and bring him to the capital. The man gave the next order, pointing at the boy. That's how the princess's protector ended up in prison while saving others. The door of Suko's cell opens, and a soldier enters with the words, "Come out for interrogation." After a while, a man appeared near the prison cells. He said, "My name is Hyunbu Tsiran, so let's start the interrogation." They came to an interrogation room with a large rectangular table and 2 chairs. The interrogation began. Wang Suho, Huado Wang clan, the eldest son of the family. At 16, he passed the military exam. At 17, he joined the army. Is that correct? Hyunbu said. Yes, that's right, Suko replied, sitting across from the man and listening to his words. We've already checked that no one in your family has Pop G, so where did you get it? The man asked. It happened during my recent vacation, Suho began to say, recalling the battle with Tao Wu and the fact that it was Hun Dun who gave him the power of the 4 spirits. Pop G, who was sealed with ancient evil. That's not something someone like you can have, Hyunbu Charan exclaimed in surprise. Slamming his palm on the table, he added, Give it back immediately. They are already in me. I couldn't give them back to you, even if I wanted to, the boy replied. Do you think I'm going to believe you? Unless there is a special permit, only the imperial family and the great nobility have the right to keep Pop G under the laws of this country, the man shouted in anger. Why are you standing there? Throw him into a special cell and find out if he can get rid of Pop G, even if you have to resort to torture. The man stood up from the table and ordered. 2 men came into the room with wooden handcuffs in their hands. They approached Vansuko with the words, Get up! And in a moment, the guy was immobilized. The guy was deep in thought. What? Torture? To get rid of 4 spirits? They all want to die here. Stop it! Stop it! If you don't show up now, things will only get worse, Suho said in anger. And you're telling me to just hold back? Tao Wu said as he freed himself from the boy's body. I don't want to, the spirit shouted. An enraged Tao Wu appeared behind Wang Suho, radiating all his power. What's going on? Hyunbu Kiran managed to say. A monster, the man exclaimed, almost fainting. Monster? What kind of monster am I? I am Tao Wu, the spirit shouted in anger. He was so angry that his eyes shone with red light and his teeth were as sharp as a shark's mouth. Tao Wu, stop! Wang Suho shouted, trying to prevent bloodshed. At that moment, the spirit of Hun Dun appeared and joined Tao Wu. But with her hand outstretched, she tried to stop the attack of the angry spirit. Why are you bothering me again? Tao Wu said, looking back at her. If you kill him now, then Van Suho and we will be forced to flee from here. It's time to increase our strength, the girl began to explain. Hun Dun continued to calm the angry spirit. Listening to the girl, Tao Wu decided not to attack the man, although he was very unhappy about it. Hurry up! Monster! Hyunbu shouted in fright. I think this man misunderstood us, the girl said, leaning toward the man. Misunderstood? He asked in surprise. Wang Suho is our master. That's the only reason we're holding back our anger, Hun Dun said, leaning lower and lower toward Hyunbu. He is the seal that prevents us from creating chaos. What will happen when you free us? The girl said, smiling. Opening her face and showing her big eyes, she continued to speak. Perhaps we should turn this country into ashes? Tao Wu, standing behind Hun Dun, thought to himself. Now they have to get behind him. She knows how to pull a fast one. Will you rescue us even if there are no celestials here to protect you? Hun Dun continued to press her husband's psyche. Ah, I understand. I'll cancel my order right now, the man said in fright. Watching this, Suho exclaimed, Stop it, Hun Dun. I'm going to jail. Are your balls stuck behind the rollers? Why do you want to go there? Tao Wu asked, looking at Hun Dun. I am still a soldier of this army. I have to follow orders, the boy replied. Tana, yes, of course, what an interesting guy. Hey you, escort Wang Suho to the prison, the man ordered with a strange smile. I'll make sure that everything gets better, Hyunbu added, walking over to the boy. But the guy was taken to a torture room with a large iron door. Palace. A girl stands at the door to the princess's room. Your Highness, it's Hua Yan. Come in, I heard behind the door. The princess sat with her eyes closed on her bed and meditated, trying to control her energy. What did that man say? She asked the girl. As a result of the interrogation, Hyunbu Tsiren said that Wang Suho would be sent into exile and then exiled to an island. Exile and exile? I must speak to my father immediately. Get everything ready. The princess burst out of bed in anger. A throne room. A man sat on a throne in the middle of the room with two people serving him. I have come to see you, father, said the princess. I hear you've made great progress in your research on celestials and your energy. Congratulations, said a man dressed in a red robe covered with golden patterns of magical dragons. All this is only thanks to your help, father, the girl replied, bowing her head. But why did you come to me so suddenly? He asked the princess. I was able to control my energy only thanks to you, your majesty, and the help of others. I heard that one of them was punished for this. So I came to you, your majesty, to ask you to forgive him. Your majesty, a little puzzled by the words he heard, replied, Ho ho, was there someone like that? Who was he? One of the servants approached the man and whispered something in his ear. Hyunbu Tsiren, they say, sent one into exile, the man said. So what? Do you want me to forgive his sins and keep him as my servant? He asked, sitting on the throne. The point is that we can use his powers correctly, the princess replied. Competently? And where do you want to use them? The man asked with distrust of the girl's words. Father, I'm worried about the person he fought with. Is it safe that a man calling on the dead has declared war on us? The princess said with confidence. That's right, this cannot be ignored. The court is discussing who it could be, but I haven't received any conclusions yet. Do you have any guesses? The father asked the girl. Anyone who uses POP-G outside the country's control? Moon Ryong said. First, the sex novices who live in dark valleys far in the mountains. Secondly, spies who came from other countries that have the right to use POP-G. Third, those who illegally keep POP-G in their possession, she said. He said that he killed our soldiers on the orders of somebody, so he decided to disregard the laws of our state. Why don't we let this soldier investigate the case? The princess suggested. He would use his power to fight the infernal POP-G. He would do good for his country, the girl said, closing her eyes. That's a good idea. Then he will stay here to find out what happened. If he catches this man, I will have mercy on him, the man replied. This is a great favor. The princess bowed and thanked her father. I have solved this problem. I don't know why I care so much about him, but if he has the strength, he can help. The basement of the palace. Dry, immobilized, he sits in a stone cell. Some hieroglyphs were carved on the ceiling of the cell. What a place these men have built, Hun Dun said, looking at the circles on the ceiling. Wang Suho did not understand what she was talking about. This is Pan Sheng Ok. He's disrupting the energy cycle and suppressing POP-G's power. Only celestials would do that in their prisons, she explained. So now we can't even get out of here. What do we do? Tao Wu asked angrily. Van Suho knelt silently with his eyes closed. At that moment, he heard the stomping of feet. Opening the door to the cell where the boy was being held, the man shouted, Come out! Van Suho was released from his shackles. At that moment, he thought he was being summoned for interrogation again. I've already told you everything, Suho said as he walked down the corridor in front of the other soldiers. They came back to the torture room, where a man stood in the middle of it with his back to them. You can leave now, he said to the soldiers who had accompanied Van Suho. Are you Van Suho, a skilled warrior? The man said, turning around. It's Inspector Girion. Suko did not expect to see him. You are the last candidate for Her Highness's hand, so you can protect the princess? Lend me your strength, the boy said. Why should I? Replied the inspector. Why should I fight for a woman who can't even ascend the throne? The man said with a furrowed brow. Walking away from Suko, the inspector said, Be thankful that I won't hurt her right away. Van Suho couldn't understand why Inspector Girion had pulled him out of prison. But at that moment, the man returned, holding a long whip with a sharp end. He shouted, You don't have to tell me. I just want to see what kind of warrior you are. Yahoo, something interesting is brewing here. Tao Wu said as soon as he appeared. Hey, keep your head down, the guy said to him, seeing the spirit flying out of his chest. Why? How are you going to fight someone who has Pop G, huh? The spirit asked in displeasure. That's true, but, Suho said, don't just wag your tongue, concentrate your energy in my hands. Show me the power of this body, the boy exclaimed to the spirit. Yes? Tao Wu asked, lighting Wang Suho's hand. Inspector Girian made the first strike using the power of the golden chain, saying, let us begin. A whip with a sharp end was flying in the boy's direction. He's coming! Go! Tao Wu shouted. To repel this blow, Suho decided to use the power of through matter. The red sharp rays, like thorns, did not allow the whip to pass through them and deflected it. Dryly stretching out his right hand, he grabbed the whip and tore it into two pieces with his left hand. He cut off the golden chain in one move? Girian said, his mouth agape. When I fought this guy as one of the mercenaries, I found out about his Pop G weakness. Vansuko tore off the sharp part of the whip and threw it directly at the inspector. The man shouted in fright, Shit! That's it. That's enough. You have passed the test. Now listen to the Emperor's order, said the mutilated man, holding his head. Wang Suho is being given a special task. If he fulfills it, he will be forgiven for illegally possessing Pop G and will be reinstated to his position, Inspector Giryong said as he gave the order. This is a great honor and favor, Suho replied with a bow. What kind of special assignment is this? The guy decided to ask right away. You just have to follow my instructions, the man said, folding his arms across his chest. To be a subordinate of this scumbag? How annoying. I thought about Inspector Van Suho's words. A new day had come. The sun shone on the entire territory of the palace. Has he left the palace? The man asked, standing with his back to his subordinate. Yes, he was kicked out of the army, the man replied. Great, now I'll take over, Jinquan said, looking around. I was told that we could get him as an ally, but I have to take revenge on him, the man said, clenching his fist. The center of the city, a bustle of people. People are going where they are going, all about their own business. Van Suho, carrying a bag of letters on his shoulders, delivers them to the right people. You have to deliver some letters to the bases in Gyeongsong. Then go to Danyu Pancham in the evening, Inspector Giryong said as he gave his first assignment. And how will these letters help catch that guy? Suho asked. Your job is to follow orders, the man replied, pointing his index finger at Van Suko. The boy agreed. He may have a terrible temper, but he has a head on his shoulders. He's up to something, Suko says, walking in the middle of a crowded street. This bastard only walks on crowded streets, Jin Kwang said as he stood behind a building wall. I have to wait until night, the man said. Walking through different streets, Van Suho finally reached the right building. Come in, he was greeted at the entrance. When he entered the building and climbed the stairs, he saw Inspector Girian sitting at a table drinking tea. He exclaimed when he saw Suho. He's here, to which the boy replied, Just as you ordered, I wandered around Gyeongsong, following orders. Great, you are very helpful, the inspector said with a smile on his face. Someone was coming up the stairs. There he is, exclaimed Girian. Van Suho turned around and was shocked by what he saw. So I was bait for a big fish, he said. Those letters contained orders to watch you, the man said, getting up from the table. When the inspector got closer to the second floor railing and saw who had entered the building, he decided to explain something. This guy has been seen at every base you've been to, the inspector said. What, you tracked me? Jin Kwang said angrily. How nice, they trapped me, the man said, smiling and looking around. He was surrounded by armed soldiers from all sides. Do you have such soldiers? Suko asked the inspector. They are in the Iron Blood unit and perform only special missions, the man explained. The boy thought about it. They are the dark side of the imperial family. Those who go out in the streets in complete darkness. I don't want to fight these kids, I want you, Jin Quan exclaimed. For someone who escaped, he's very confident, Suho thought. At that moment, Girian shouted, Get him! Under the order, all the soldiers rushed to Jin Quan, pointing their sharp weapons at him. With calmness inside him, the man said, As always, it's the same old thing. In an instant, he turned from a calm man into a man who wanted to kill. But I am the owner of the death bracelet. All your swords listen only to me, he shouted, pointing his hand at the soldiers. At that moment, the bracelet activated, and many swords flew out from behind Jin Quan to attack. All the swords began to revolve around each other for a crushing blow. After that, hardly anyone survived. An impregnable fortress, the warriors said unanimously, holding their swords above their heads, which began to shine with bright light. And at that moment, they struck back with their swords simultaneously and repelled Jin Quan's power. The blow was so strong that the blue radiance seemed to blind everyone around them. "What? Have you taken away the power of the wind?" The man became even more angry. "Wang Suho told us about your magic," the inspector exclaimed, pulling out his whip. "Whether you try to wield our swords or call for the dead, we will deal with you." Girion swung his whip at Quan. Jin Quan was confused. A moment later, and he received a whip. "Shit!" the man exclaimed. "Tie him up," Inspector Girion ordered the soldiers. And at that moment, he used the power of the golden shackles. His whip took on the right shape to immobilize Jin Quan. "What kind of heresy is this?" the rascal said, seeing the diamond-shaped whip in front of him. In an instant, he was grabbed. The whip held him tightly, squeezing his entire body. All of Jin Quan's swords simultaneously lost their power and fell to the floor. "Look, now you understand the importance of the order to deliver the message?" The inspector looked at Suho, smiling. "But he can also summon the dead," the boy said. "Let him call. My golden chain is Pop G, which can destroy monsters and ghosts," said Girion. Going down the stairs to Jin Quan and not seeing anything wrong with the boy, the inspector says, "Well, who is your master?" Girion held the man tightly in the golden shackles. Coming closer, he repeated, "I said, who gave you this Pop G?" Smiling evilly, Quan replied, "What are you talking about? In our country, apart from the imperial family and the nobility, there are only a few people who are allowed to use Pop G. Someone like you cannot be the master of Pop G," Inspector Girion said loudly. "Scared, huh?" Jin Quang asked sarcastically, looking down at his forehead. "If mere mortals have Pop G, it will be impossible to control them," he added. "What the? You've started a rebellion," Girion said angrily. "Uprising, spears. This is no rebellion. This is the creation of a new world," said Jin Quan, using the power of rage. "Again, I told you that my Pop G can easily handle it," the inspector smiled. "You don't need to cut to kill you," the man shouted, and small sharp spears flew out of his body. Girion screamed in pain as the spears pierced his body deeply. In pain, the man opened his hand, which was holding his spear, and at that moment, the shackles that held Jin Quang down fell. "Protect the inspector," and at the same time, the soldiers ran to help the inspector. "Do you want more?" Quan said, pointing sharp spears at the warriors. Putting their swords in front of them at the same time, the warriors made a shield for protection, using the power of the wall. "Why do you keep hiding? I wonder how much longer you can hold out," the attacker asked them. The soldiers tried to hold on to their defense with all their might, but the strength of the Pop G man prevailed. One moment, and the shield was pierced. Sharp spears pierced the body of each soldier. Jin Quan stood in the middle of the room, watching people suffer and die. "Why don't you attack me?" the inspector asked, barely able to hold himself up. "Should I cut off your head?" the attacker asked. "And you don't interfere?" "Let's go together," Tao Wu said. "Girion, he may have been rude to me, but this is the end," Suho thought. He had an epiphany. If Girion dies now and this guy escapes, I won't be able to return to the army. "Tao Wu, give me strength. Hundun, if he decides to summon the dead, then give me a sword and armor," Wang Suho said confidently, holding his sword. "Very well," the spirits answered simultaneously, and at that moment Suko decided to strike his first blow with the words, "I'll stop him." The fight began. This time Inspector Girion did not resist and agreed with the boy's actions. "There you are," Jin Quan said, finally waiting for this battle. He struck back. Activating his bracelet, the man pointed sharp spears at the boy, but to no avail. Van Suho deflected them, using his magical powers. The next blow was for the guy. The fight was gaining momentum, but no one was even thinking of giving up. Jin Quan was enraged, crossed his swords, and called for the spears to attack again. There were so many of them that Suho could barely get away in time. Accelerating and jumping well, Wang Suho delivered a powerful punch that had a bright blue glow when it hit Jin. And at that moment, Suho reached out and grabbed his opponent's neck. Jin Quan didn't realize what was happening. "If you don't want to die, then give Pop G back immediately and surrender," the boy shouted angrily. "Gotcha. Did you really think I didn't have a plan?" Jin said. "What?" A light appeared in a tall building behind the boy. This radiance turned into a beam that contained the arrow that hit Suko in the back. "An ambush?" the guy shouted, his back covered with icy growths. What a fool you are. Did you think I would come here alone? Asked his opponent. What do you think? A force of cold that came from hell. Too bad you won't be able to see it. Ha ha ha, the man said. Van Suho was completely covered in ice. Jin Kwan's assistant was Song Jae-wan. She has Pop G of hellish cold, can easily stop a swallow flying in the sky. Ah, it looks like my body has just been frozen, Wang Suho said in surprise. Where am I? Said the boy looking around. He was in a kind of darkness with stars and high rocks that were wrapped with ropes with white ribbons. What the hell is this place? Van Suho said, looking around. In ancient times, there were 4 clans that ruled the world of Yongchun. Emperor Hong's clan in the south, Emperor Zhongshu's clan in the north, Emperor Xiaohao's clan in the west, Emperor Jinyuan's clan in the east. The 4 clans lived in harmony, but then Zhao and Xiao rose up with the blessing of God and seized power over Zhongcheng. They enslaved our clans and turned us into monsters. This is a story about the 4 evils, Suho said. Hundun, Tao Wu, what are you up to? Why have you summoned me to this strange place in the middle of a battle? The boy asked. We are the 4 evils in your body. I am the one who called you, the spirit said, standing behind the boy. Your name is Tao Te, right? Why did you summon me? Wang Suho asked. I did so because the situation was depressing, Tao Yu replied. Depressed? What? Suho couldn't understand his words. I've already mentioned that we are descendants of ancient emperors who ruled this world. You're the one who borrowed our powers. Do you know why you lost to Pop G from hell? The spirit asked. Because of the traps they set, the boy answered. That's right. If you had decided to use our powers in a radical way, you would never have fallen into such a trap, the man explained. I could, but I'm not sure what goals you are pursuing by staying in my body. That's why I don't use my powers recklessly, Suho said. Are you interested? Well, I will tell you, Tao Te said, rising up into the air. Our main goal is to free ourselves from the seal of the 4 sins, to find and take revenge on Quan Songji, who sealed us, the spirit began to explain. But all the celestials left heaven hundreds of years ago, the boy exclaimed. Then why is Kwang Shongji's energy flowing in you? The spirit asked. Do I have the energy of the Son of God? Do you think I will believe this lie? Suho was angry. Look up, Tao said, pointing with his finger. Your energy, Kwang Shongji, shines brightly like the sun. Do you think you've built it up just by practicing martial arts? The spirit exclaimed. Is this the energy of Kwang Shongji? I am not related to the celestials by family ties. I've never met God or his son, so why? The boy said, looking up at the sky. I have examined your body quite deeply. You are not a blood relative of any celestial? Then you are involved in one of their plans, the spirit said, considering. Plans? It's impossible that I'm part of something grandiose. Suho replied incredulously. Just a minute, something big that I was involved in recently. I went back in time. Is this return connected with the plan of the Son of God? The guy asked, remembering everything. Do you have any guesses? Tao Tai asked. I think... Wang Suho began to answer. Whoa, what's that? Suho asked, hearing a strange sound. Those outside are fighting, the spirit said, looking in that direction. What happened there? The guy asked nervously. Look for yourself. They're all going to die soon. Raising his hand, he opened the window for Tao Tai to see. How long was I on the ice? And Suho asked. Time flows 10 times slower inside than outside, the man continued to explain. But it took you a while to transfer your soul into a seal after losing consciousness. You don't have much of it now, Tao Te said. What is your choice? Ornus asked his spirit. Van Suho began to think about it. Are you still hesitating? I'm not asking you to believe us, the spirit says, looking down at the boy. We will use you for revenge. I also propose that you use us for your own purposes, Tao Te said, holding out his hand. If you die from a blunt sword, we will also have difficulties, he added. Recalling the battle with the dead and the fact that Tao Wu asked him to use the powers of the spirits, Wang Suho replied, Well, I cannot remain in such an unknown position. I accept your power, but I will not do evil and kill good people, he added. It's not our wish, so do what you want, Tao Ti said. Accept my power and I will free you from the ice. The price is greed and gluttony, the spirit shouted loudly. Behind him appeared the image of a horned spirit shining with a blue glow. I will fulfill your wish, Van Suho shouted. Why don't you give up yet? Inspector Jin Quan asked. The archer can't shoot me because I'm behind the ice, but I can't hold out much longer, Inspector Girion said, barely able to stand. Colored spirits began to swirl around the ice where Van Suko was standing. My power is greed. I can consume anything. What? Inspector Girion exclaimed in fright. Behind him, the icy abyss in which Wang Suho was standing shone. The shadow of a horned monster appeared. Everything spun like a tornado, breaking the ice into small pieces. Suho's left hand can now absorb Pop G. The ice shattered and Wang Suho instantly appeared. He had a single-minded gaze, for he now had the power of Tao Te. You! How did you get out of Song Jae's ice? Jin Quan said angrily. The girl with the bow fired another shot. A beam of light appeared again, carrying a deadly weapon. But the arrow did not reach its ultimate goal. Wang Suho turned around and put his left hand, which has the power of Pop G, in front of him and destroyed the ice weapon. Seeing this, Jin Kyung became even more angry. Oh, you! How did you get out of that? The inspector exclaimed, turning away. Now we have to defeat the enemy first, the boy replied. Tao Wu, Hun Dun, you can hear me, right? Lend me your strength, exclaimed the protagonist. Okay, as soon as he brings the evil spirits, I will give you my power, Hun Dun replied. Me too, I will give you all my strength to fight, Tao Wu said happily. Tao Wu, put all your strength into my right hand, and I will put all my strength into it, Suho asked, holding his sword with his hand. A moment, and he had the power. It blazed with a red glow, radiating bright lightning from the boy's sword. Slash! Wang Suho swung his sword and struck out with all the power he had gained. Jin Quan was surprised by what he saw. He barely had time to put his sword in front of him, holding back a strong blow. In response, he directed all his strength at the guy, saying, Go! Hell's knives! Wheel of the wind! Jin Yin's powers swallow everything up. Wang Suho pointed a magical green circle at the weapon flying at him, destroying it. With one hand, he fought back with a green magic shield, and with the other, he held a magic sword to strike again. And Zhuanshu's claws pierced through. After saying this, the defender struck out with his magic sword as if with great fire. What is this? Jin Quan's sword cracked and shattered from the impact. The fact that Jin Quan's sword could not withstand Suho's blow caused the man's wounds to be inflicted with full force. He fell to his knees, spilling his blood and breathing heavily. Hey, you don't have to kill him, Inspector Girion exclaimed, running up to the boy. I only cut the armor and a few muscles, Suho replied calmly. Ha! You're going to regret not killing me right away, the man said, touching the floor with his bracelet. Are you invoking evil spirits? Stop! Wang Suho shouted, swinging his sword. He saw red rays begin to appear from under Quan. No, I invite you to hell, the man said. What? The inspector only managed to exclaim. Red magic lines swirled around them. A moment later, and there was a powerful explosion that blew apart almost the entire building they were in. From another building, a girl with a bow watched all this. She only whispered, Jin Quan. In the end, you did open the road to hell, the girl said, tears streaming down her face. After the explosion, all of them went to hell, flying from above to the sharp fangs that were at the bottom of this abyss. Flying down, Girion and Van Suho screamed in fright, not knowing where they were or what was happening. After all, they saw that they were flying directly into the sharp fangs that pierced their bodies. Arr! Stretch! Inspector Girion shouted, drawing his whip. Using a whip, the man wrapped several fangs around the canine, wrapping several layers and making a net. This action saved their lives because they landed on this net. What the hell? Suho said. The inspector just said nothing. Did he say before that he was inviting us to hell? One asked. Yes, answered the other. They were standing on a grid, and below them in a whirlpool were the dead, eager to see them die. So this is Dosan's hell? Then it must be this hell, Girion said. What kind of hell is this? Wang Suho asked. Dosan's hell is a place where murderers and useful people meet their end. Sinners are always here with cuts from blades. At one point, we heard strange sounds coming from a pile of dead people climbing on top of each other. And a large hand suddenly appeared from the great mountain of the dead. Looking in that direction, the inspector said with horror on his face, Hey, what is this? A huge hand towered over the men and then reached out to them. They tried to get away from it, but it didn't work. She grabbed Inspector Girion and squeezed him very hard. Kyung! Van Suho immediately jumped up and wanted to attack that hand, saving the man. It wasn't just a hand. A monster was rising from the abyss with 4 additional arms on its back. The monster straightened its figure and appeared in full glory. It looked like a huge man with 6 arms. It held a huge stone with 2 hands, and in the third hand, it held the inspector on its back. Instead of a head, it had a hole in which a man could be seen. It was Jin Quan. Save me, Inspector Garion shouted loudly. Then I'll attack first, said Wang Suho, running toward the monster. Stretching out one of its arms, the monster wanted to grab the boy. But Suho struck out with his magic sword, which emitted a red glow. Jin Quan was surprised to see how easily the boy slipped away, flying into the air. Is it possible to cut King Jin Quan's body in one go? Suho said. What the hell is he doing? The man said in anger. At one point, a magic sword struck the monster's head, where Jin Quan was standing. Its head was cut into 2 parts, but the man was no longer in it. What happened to him? He didn't trap himself in this body, Wang Suho said in surprise. Heh, I heard from the side. It was Quan who was watching the boy. Suho, standing on the shoulder of the destroyed monster, looked at him. The body of this King Jin Quan is quite unique, as it is composed of the dead, he thought. At this time, a man in the monster's chest spoke. You don't know what is going to kill you. Sharp fangs emerged from under Wang Suho's feet. What? He said, seeing that they were bones. Undaunted, the boy began to destroy them with his magic sword. Kayak, there were explosions. The blast wave carried the guy some distance away, he said dryly, shaking off his clothes. If you cut these sharp bones, do they explode? Hey, I can easily regenerate minor injuries on my own, but serious wounds are dangerous, Tao Wu shouted at him. Okay, the guy replied, looking down and thinking. Looking at the monster's hand, which contained Inspector Garion, he said, however, it will be very difficult to reach it. I will face a pile of exploding bones. Then, with the speed I got from Tao Wu, I can count on luck, said Suho. He jumped up and ran very fast, destroying the sharp fangs on his way. The boy almost reached the palm of his hand, which was holding the man tightly, and behind him, all the destroyed bones exploded, emitting a blue glow. I got you, Jin Quan said, smiling, looking at the boy. Some black clouds, like a storm, were coming to meet Suko. Really? The defense lawyer was surprised. He jumped up to strike. Bang! There was a huge explosion. The perpetrator said, smiling, happy to see him. Is he dead? But things didn't go as Quan wanted them to. Wang Suho, holding the inspector's collar, not only survived, but also saved the man. Tie him up with your golden chain, Suho exclaimed. Oh, well, the man replied. They were falling from a great height. At that moment, the inspector took out his whip and used the power of the golden chain. Damn, I can't believe I'm following his orders, the man said. The golden chain wrapped around the huge stone in the monster's hands several times. How dare you touch Zhengui, exclaimed Jin Quan in displeasure. While the inspector was busy with his task, Wang Suho headed for the scoundrel. Ah, Jin Quan was angry. I am King Jin Quan, and I will punish you. After saying these words, the magic stone shone with yellow light, activating its power. This power is called lightning strikes. Yellow lightning strikes pierced Wang Suho's body. What an unbearable pain. He could barely withstand this power. Fool, use your left hand to absorb the light. Hearing these words, Wang Suho immediately directed all his strength into his left hand. Thus, all the light that was causing him pain was immediately absorbed. What? He absorbed lightning? Quan exclaimed. Wang Suho closed his eyes, holding the power of lightning within him. He heard the following words. Excellent. Now return the power you received from him and strike at Zhengui. Instantly, he opened his eyes, and using all the strength and energy from the lightning, he struck the magic stones. Zhengui! No! Quan exclaimed at that moment. The magic stones were completely destroyed, so all the dead began to disappear. Damn bastards, come back, don't fall apart, Jin Quan said angrily. Is the body collapsing? Suho said, looking at the monster. After all, everything around him was made up of dead people. Everything began to fall apart. This is all because Zhengui was the core, Taote said. The world that created Pop Gi must have a core. Remember, if you break it, everything will collapse, the spirit told the boy. The almost destroyed building after the explosion. The three of them went back. When he opened his eyes, Jin Quan was lying on the floor with his legs severed and screaming very loudly. Ka! What's wrong with his leg? Inspector Garion asked. Suho replied, I remember cutting his body, but... The men pondered what they had seen. She was cut off as a price for creating hell. Great power needs its sacrifices, Hundun explained. Well, in any case, we need to move him, Girion said, using his whip to do so. I'll take care of it. Van Suho, you're in charge, the inspector said, looking back at the boy. He agreed. Song Cho-wan was very embarrassed. She said, Jin Kwan's hell has been destroyed. Then I won't be able to defeat them with my current strength, the girl said with a furrowed brow. I need to hurry up and do my best to honor him, she decided, and then she ran. Another Popgi nose has escaped. What am I going to do now? Suho said, looking at the building from which he was shot. Leave him alone, said Inspector Girion as he tied up Jin Kwan. We might lose this guy if we try to track the other one. First, let's take him away safely, Girion said. Understood, but we still don't know how many people are cooperating with him. I'm more worried that they might attack us as a group, Suko told the man. We'll have to find out for ourselves, the man replied. Yonghagun Palace. Jin Kwang was taken into custody. As he walked up the stairs to the palace entrance, Giryong said, Wang Suho, you are free. Wait in the inspection room until you are called. Yes, sir, the young man replied. Free time. Now that I have the power of Tao Te, I should learn how to use it. The smiling sage Chang Chon was walking toward Wang Suho. Wang Suho, how long have we not seen you? How are you? Asked the nightingale. Not bad, sage Chang Chon Jin. What brings you here? Suho asked, bowing. I was needed for a consultation about a pop GI medium from the underworld. But before that, I'd like to ask you one question. Do you mind? Said the wise man. Yes, please ask, the guy happily replied. I heard that you received a pop guy with the seal of the 4 sins. What are you going to do with this power? Changchon asked the boy. I'm interested because I've been thinking about it since I became a Taoist, he added. There is a person whom I could not protect. I want to protect him, the guy said, thinking. You want to protect someone who is neither a military man nor a member of the royal family with his power? Said the sage Changchon. Closing his eyes, Van Suho said, I can't do anything if you don't believe me, but I swear, I sincerely want to protect them. Then, you will protect this person regardless of the means and methods, even if it costs you your humanity? The man asked confidently. I can't do that. Otherwise, this person will not accept me, Suko said, turning away. What if monsters take over your body? What will you do if they try to control you? Asked the wise man. A strong mind and willpower can be improved through training. I will stop them with a strong body, the guy said confidently. These are huge monsters that are sealed by the gods. Therefore, training on your own can be difficult. Learn it, the sage Changchon instructed the boy. Changchon took out a book and handed it to Wang Suho, saying, It's called the Pop Gi of the Mind, divided into Taishin, Shankin, and Okero. You can bring monsters to their knees if you master it. Thank you, Jin, Suho said, bowing. I hope this helps you, the sage replied, leaving the boy alone. What the hell is he doing? Turning us into horrible creatures? Tao Wu said in anger. Aren't you guys like that? Didn't you want me to do evil things? The boy asked the spirit. Tao Wu was surprised to hear what he said. One of those who sealed us forced us to do this. It doesn't mean I don't like battles, but he began to stir. What does it matter if we are bad or not? Tao Te asked, appearing at that moment. Hey, get off me, shouted Tao Wu. When will you finally pay for my power? I'm not going to wait like the others. Give me back everything at once. Tao Te was furious, sitting on top of the other spirit. All right, Wang Suho replied with a grudging smile. City Cafe. Wang Suho eats delicious noodles with chopsticks, and at this moment he hears the words, Is this the price of my power? As he continues to eat, Wang Suho mentally replies, You said that your sin is gluttony, isn't that right? So the more you eat, the more you want more. That's true, but still. And that's why you thought I was hungry before you were full, the spirit said. At this time, Wang Suho was finishing his 8th plate of noodles. 10 or 20 plates, it doesn't matter. I'll eat as much as I need, the guy exclaimed, holding onto the table. What, Wang Suho? Weren't you kicked out of the palace? Other soldiers came out to meet the boy with plates of delicious noodles. They were very surprised to see him again. I am now a member of the inspection team, Suko told them. What, an inspector? One of them said in surprise. Suha, what are you doing here? Asked the other. What am I doing? I'm on a mission, Van Suha replied calmly. If you are a local inspector, this is the task of the inspection. And what use are you to our army? Ha, you must have used bribery to get around us so easily, Chok Shin said in anger. It's none of your business where I am or what I'm doing, Suko replied, heading for the next portion of noodles. "You rascal! I didn't finish the conversation," the guy shouted, addressing Van Suko. "I can't believe someone is interrupting me. What an annoying person," Tao Te said inside the guy. "Two more servings," Wang Suho ordered. Chok Shin stood behind him and boiled with anger. At this time, the spirit decided to teach the angry boy a little lesson. "Ugh, why the stomach all of a sudden?" said the boy. His stomach began to boil and boil. The guy shook his head and held his stomach. "What have you done to me?" Van Suho turned around and did not understand what was happening to the boy and why he blamed him. "He interfered with me, so I increased his hunger," the spirit explained. Now Suho understood what was going on and watched the boy suffer with a smile on his face. "Ugh, hurry up and give me all the food," said Chok Shan with a crazy look. "What happened?" Ingyong Hee cried out in surprise. As he ate one plate of noodles after another, Chok Shin said, "Wang Suho, you son of a bitch. Rest assured, you will be thrown out of the palace." It was nighttime. A man dressed in black and wearing a face mask entered the palace courtyard. "Jin Quan is locked in the inspector's room. Yompa, I need you to go in there," the mysterious man said, standing with his back to the boy. "What do you want from me?" The guy who had entered the palace asked, bowing. "Pull him out if you can. But if you can't save him, you need to shut him up," the man said. "Understood," he replied. Yompa approached the inspector's office. Two guards stood at the entrance. Jumping from the roof of a neighboring building, the guy attacked the guards using sharp knives. Before the knives pierced the throats of the defenders, they only managed to speak, "Invasion of... Ah! Ah!" After landing, Yompa calmly walked to the entrance of the room where Jin Quan was. When he opened the door, he saw two more soldiers. "Who is it?" they said. Once inside, Yompa decided to use the power of the darkness of night. Holding a large heavy mace in each hand, he said, "Darkness! Trespasser!" shouted one of the guards, summoning the other soldiers. Using his pop jai, the man struck again and again, destroying all the defenders in his path. Wang Suho was in one of the rooms of this building. At that time, he was meditating and trying to concentrate on his strength. "What is that noise? What's going on outside?" he asked as he stood up. "Stop! How dare you kill people in the inspection? Who are you?" Inspector Girion said. He was standing in the middle of the room with two armed soldiers. "I'm here to take Jin Quan," the attacker replied. His eyes were like a scope. "So you're with him? I order you to get rid of this guy," the inspector said. But at that moment, a magical glow appeared in his chest and in the soldiers who were with him. "Fool!" the man said, knocking them down. "Bastard!" the other soldiers said, attacking him. Using his mace, he easily wins the fight against the warriors who appear in the room. "I can't believe he defeated the Iron Bloods on his own," Inspector Girion said, swinging his whip. But he also repelled the Golden Chain's attack by simply raising his sledgehammer. Then Girion decided to use a different kind of magic by calling, "Tie him up." This magic is called Nanjo Hamwon. At first, the attacker was surprised to realize what kind of magic the man had decided to use. At this point, Yomba releases his weapon and opens his face and says, "A monkey in a cage." At the same time, the man began to fight back against Nanjo Hamwon from these magical words. As if by an explosive wave, he was freed from the magical binding of the whip. "How could my Nanjo Hammonds disintegrate?" the inspector exclaimed angrily. Yomba immediately picked up his mace and struck his opponent with a strong blow. Inspector Girion barely managed to defend himself from the attack with his whip, as the blow was aimed at his head. Without thinking, the guy struck again. He did not allow the inspector to rest and catch his breath. This time the blow was so strong that Girion flew away and broke a small window. "Oh, what power! I can't handle it alone," the man said, shaking off the broken window. The fight continues. Yompa heads toward his opponent to deliver the next blow. Inspector Girion sees two large eyes flying at the speed of light, leaving behind a bright blue glow. He was unable to repel them, receiving a strong blow to his chest. Unable to maintain his balance, Inspector Girion fell to the floor in front of his attacker. Walking up to the man and pointing his mace at his face, Yompa said, "Where is Jin Quan?" Girion replied, "Huh, do you think I will tell you? If you want to kill me, go ahead," he added, lying on the floor. "Okay," the guy replied, swinging the sledgehammer. "What?" At that moment, a sword flew in the direction of the sledgehammer, trying to deflect this attack. "Van Suho," the inspector whispered happily. Yes, it was him. Standing on the threshold of the room, he pointed his magic sword at the enemy. Looking at the boy, Yompa saw a brightly burning fire in him. Van Suho, stop this guy, Inspector Girion shouted. Van Suho, are you a little special? The attacker asked. Who are you? Are you a colleague of Jin Quan's? Wang Suho asked menacingly. Well, you can put it this way. If you return Jin Quang, I'll back off, Yumpa said, looking back at Suho but standing next to Girion. Never, Tao Wu Tao Te, give me your powers. Suho ran furiously towards him. Like an X-ray, Yumpa could see right through Suho's powers. The right hand is the firepower of Tao Wu, the left is the power of Tao Te, and in the chest is the power of Hun Dun. Different powers in the hands? I've never seen anything like this before, Yumpa said quietly. After analyzing, he struck a strong blow in the direction of Van Suko. Using the power of Tao Wu in his right hand, Suho instantly deflected the blow. Did you stop my darkness? The guy asked in surprise. Yumpa decided to strike with his right hand, but Suho instantly reacted, pointing his left hand at the sledgehammer with the power of Tao Te. It was a green shield that restrained the force of the criminal's blow. Raising his right hand up, Wang Suho decided to use the power of dissecting space. Having struck with such force, Yumpa was cut in the abdomen. Sitting on his knees and holding his wound, Girion said, "Did he win?" At that moment, Yumpa was surprised to see blood coming out of his wound. But the surprise instantly turned into a thirst for revenge. A completely different person stood before them. His eyes were shining like red flames. His hair was flying in all directions. He only said, "This is fun." "Wow, what a terrible bloodlust," Suho said, looking at the man. Instantly, an enraged Yumpa attacked Van Suko with a sledgehammer in his hand. But the boy was ready for this attack, again using the powers given to him by Tao Te to defend himself. He struck again and again, trying to completely exhaust the defender. Then Wang Suho decided to strike again with the power of dissecting space. Yumpa slipped away and suddenly appeared behind the boy. This way he was able to deliver a powerful blow to his back. This blow caused Van Suho to spit out his blood. The blow was so severe. Raising two sledgehammers above his head, Yumpa decided to use the power of unknown burning karma. And at that moment, the criminal's sledgehammers, filled with powerful force, appeared over Suko. He tried to restrain them with his magical powers, but the force used by Yumpa was so strong that the floor under his feet was shattered. The criminal did not stop his strong blows for a minute, trying to completely destroy his opponent. You are stronger than you look," the attacker said. "Who is it? Have you come to save me?" came the words from the other side. When Yumpa looked up at the sound, he realized that it was Jin Quang. Leaving Van Suko lying on the floor, the attacker ran to rescue the man. Covered in blood and barely able to speak, Suko said, "Stop! Stop!" "I'm right here," said Jin Quan, standing on one leg in his prison cell. When the man saw Yumpa approaching him, he exclaimed, "Ah, it was you! His honor told me to free you. By the way, Wang Suho, is he with your Pop G now?" The boy told him. Earlier, a foreman came and took everything with him. But if you let me out, I'll bring it back right away," Jin said angrily. "If you don't have a Pop G," the boy thought, looking at the absence of his leg. "I don't need you anymore," he added, looking at Quan. The latter did not understand why. And at that moment, Yumpa used his Pop G and struck the man with a sledgehammer. Yam's punch destroyed the bars of the prison cell and killed Jin Quan. At that moment, Suho got up from the floor and ran toward them. The defender did not understand why the attacker who came to save Quan killed him. "It wasn't useful to me for that long, so I got rid of it," the guy said calmly. Filled with anger, Wang Suho shouted, "Isn't he your partner? How could you do this to him?" "Wei." Without answering, the guy decided to strike back. "If I fight with these hammers head-on, I'll just get blown away, just like before. Defend and parry attacks. That's the only way I'll survive." Wang Suho fought off the hammer blow with his fist. Time after time, Yumpa struck Suko with hammers. At the same time, the boy would beat them back with his fists. And hit one point. Suho watched and analyzed his opponent. One punch, the guy put all his strength into his right fist. Having done everything as he had planned, Wang Suho struck a strong blow against the scoundrel. At this point, Yumpa called upon the power of the caged monkey. And what happened? The power in the boy's hand began to disappear. Van Suho was surprised and did not understand what the guy had done to him. "If you survive, you will find out for yourself," the man said with a smile. And at that moment, he hit the defender in the stomach with all the force of his Pop G. The defender flew away like a feather. Cock! Wang Suho spat out his blood again because this blow was very strong. The defender was lying on the floor, barely alive, and the attacker was heading toward him, holding hammers in his hands. Van Suho was barely breathing. One more blow and he would have died. "It's him!" the soldiers exclaimed, running to the hole in the floor. Through it, they saw Yompa and the barely alive Suho. "Everybody go down and calm him down," Inspector Girion ordered the soldiers. Heeding the order, the soldiers immediately went down to the torture room where the attacker was being held. Looking at them, Yompu said with fury in his eyes, "I will kill anyone who interferes with me." The morning of a new day came. When Van Suko regained consciousness, he realized that he was in an infirmary. "Did I lose consciousness?" "Then the battle is probably over," the guy said. As the soldier passed by, he exclaimed, "Ah, Inspector Wang has regained consciousness. I lost consciousness after being hit in the chest." "The wound must have been healed by Tao Wu's power," Suho said, holding his hand to his chest. The guy heard a boot step. Inspector Girion came into his room with a twisted stomach and a broken arm. "Are you awake?" he asked the guy, to which Suko asked him, "What about him?" "He killed all the people of Iron Blood who resisted him, and then he disappeared," Girion said with a furrowed brow. "It was a punishment for our lack of focus. I was able to avoid it because Her Highness protected me," the man continued to say, walking over to Suho and pulling up a chair. "In any case, I think I have only a general idea of their personalities," the inspector said, sitting down on a chair. "Who are they?" Van Suho looked at the man in surprise. "You first met one when you were picking herbs for Her Highness, right?" the man asked. I nodded my head in dry agreement. "And the second time, it was in the restaurant I sent you to," Girion said, recalling how he grabbed Jin Quan. "And the third time? It happened the night Jin Quan was in prison," the man said, recalling how Suho saw Yompa in the room. "Maybe he was chasing you, but how can he move so fast?" the inspector pondered, sitting by Suko's bedside. "So, they are not spies of warring countries. This is a mysterious society created by local aristocrats," the man shouted angrily. "A mysterious society? What are we going to do next?" Van Suho asked. "Find and destroy them," replied Guillen. "But that guy," the man thought. "The red-haired one," Suho continued, recalling his terrifying bloodthirsty appearance. Wang Suho said, "Now, I don't think I can beat him." "That's right. Should I ask to send the officers who own Pop G?" the inspector was thinking. "Fighting with other warriors? Is that the best option? If he's escaped from Her Highness, I can't stop him by myself now," Suho thought, clenching his fist. "This is not the time to gain strength through training. I need to find a way or a trick to outsmart him," the boy said. "Let's think about it. Is there anything other than evil spirits that happened after that?" "Ah, can you give me some time?" Wang Suho asked the inspector, remembering something. "Have you thought of a way to deal with him?" Inspector Girion asked him. With confidence on his face, the guy replied, "I think I can find a solution." "Then I will look for their base. I trust you, Suha," the man said. As he was about to leave the room, Girion turned around and said, "And you have to find a way to defeat him." Van Suho answered him, "Yes, I will do it." "I'll look forward to next month then," Girion added. "It's a bright day. The sun illuminates the whole city. High, mighty mountains." "Ha! What is the other way?" "I hear conversations somewhere in the garden." Wang Suho was sitting on a horse and the spirits were talking to him. "If we use more of our strength, we can win," Tao Wu exclaimed. "I know your power is great, but you can't offer anything against his words, can you?" Suho asked, addressing the spirit. "Oh, these words are like the power of the gods who opposed us," Hundun said. "Isn't this the power that only gods can have? How can a human being use these words?" Tao Wu asked, a little confused. "However, your power does not work. That's why I went looking for a way to overcome it," Wang Suho explained to them. "I'm not sure if this is the right option, but if it's that Pop G, then maybe," the guy said doubtfully, continuing his way. In the 11th year of Gaonyun, on the first day of the month of Imjin, 10 days later, Mount Cheonggyeong was blown up and destroyed. It was a high-profile incident in which many monks died. The criminal responsible for this case was Baek Seol-yeon. However, she was captured and eventually executed. A large number of Pop G's found items were later confiscated from her property. These included combs, a mirror, necklaces, earrings, and so on. Despite their short lifespan, they were of excellent quality. For example, like this amazing pendant with green stones. Surprisingly, it turned out that the creator of these Pop G items was Baek Seol-yeon. Also, some of them neutralized all sounds within a certain radius. This mysterious box was just like that. If I rescue her before she starts work, I can get one of these things. To do this, I mounted my horse and immediately went to Mount Chongryong, where she was. According to the records before my return, she lived in this valley. Van Suho continued on. I think we've been here for a while, Hundun said, but we only went straight ahead. Are you sure? Suho asked her. Wang Suho got down from his horse to look around, and then he heard, Qimen Chen Fa. Qimen Cheng Fa? Tao Wu asked, confused. Using landmarks and qi confuses the senses. In fact, it makes you see illusions, the boy explained to him. Hey, can human magic work on me? Don't worry, just follow me, said Tao Wu happily. Tao Wu, don't come in, Suho exclaimed. But the spirit decided to go first between the rocks. Moving on, the spirit said with a smile, You see, it's easy to get in here, isn't it? Entering further, the spirit was surprised by what it saw. There were some blue lightning bolts that did something… What? The image of a person began to appear in front of Tao Wu from this unknown energy. You! He appeared before the spirit, the full-fledged Tao Te Ching in all his glory, Lei Zhenzi. I'm glad I met you here, you son of a bitch! Tao Wu ran furiously toward the human image. The man created from blue energy just stood there with his arms outstretched to meet the spirit. Stretching out his strong fist, Tao Wu punched the man directly in the face, saying, I will crush your lightning bolts. Holding his opponent by the shoulders, Tao Wu said, Do you have any idea how long I've been waiting for the moment when I'm going to tear you apart? And at that moment, he brutally tore off both hands of the shining man. You have become much weaker since I last saw you, said Tao Wu angrily. Wang Suho and Hundun stood in amazement near Tao Wu. What's wrong with him? Asked Suko, looking at the spirit, who was standing and waving his hands in the air. If it's Lei Zhenzi, it's a god who irritated Tao Wu a lot, Hundun suggested. I suppose so. The same thing will happen to us if we go beyond the borders, the boy reasoned. Did you say Qimen Chen Fa uses landmarks and qi to frighten the senses? Asked Tao Te. Yes, but is it possible to destroy the illusion? Asked Wang Suho of the spirits. It's easy if it's made with qi, the horned spirit replied. All you have to do is absorb the qi, Tao Te continued to say. And at that moment, the spirit sent its powers in all directions with a bright blue glow. Ah? What? Why has he suddenly disappeared? Tao Wu was surprised to see the shining man gradually disappear into thin air. Flying up to the angry spirit, Hundun said, It was an illusion, you idiot. Tao Wu turned to her and asked furiously, What? Lei Zhenzi was an illusion. They decided to go the other way. The angry spirit still could not understand that it was not real. It looks so real, he said. Looking back at the spirits, the boy said, What are you doing there? Let's go. Tao Wu had never been so angry. Have I fallen for a human illusion? He asked again. Walking further through the tunnel, Van Suo came to an entrance with a large mirror for a door. I think this is it, he whispered. Coming close to the mirror, he said, What is this? Is there no door here? Hundun was also surprised and said, Why is there a mirror in such a place? Illusions and mirrors. Is she the kind of person who doesn't like strangers? The boy said, touching the mirror with his palm. When he touched the mirror with his finger, he saw that it had a secret power. Van Suho realized that this was the entrance, so he completely penetrated the mirror to the other side. Van Suho was surprised to see himself in front of him, but the other guy had bright red eyes filled with rage. He grabbed his sword and swung, inflicting wounds on the real Wang Suho. At this point, the real Suko decided to defend himself, because the other guy was ready to strike again. The battle between the same person, but different in authenticity, has begun. Day, Yonghagan Palace. In the Crown Hall, there is the Emperor on the throne, his subordinates and several other people. Your Majesty the Emperor, Her Highness the Crown Princess, wishes to see you. Send her in, the Emperor replied. At that moment, the princess came in, arms folded in front of her, wearing an incredibly beautiful dress, with embroidered ornaments and a crown on her head. Wolryong decided to pay a visit to His Majesty the Emperor. Yes, I hear that your qi is getting better and better every day, the Emperor said. No one in the imperial family has ever achieved such success as you. You are the hope of this country, the man said, pointing to the princess. The Emperor spoke loudly, raising his left hand in the air. This makes Dongshan the best in Yongchun. At that moment, everyone present bowed, saluting the princess and saying, Welcome, Your Highness. Listen, Wolryong, go to Mount Chongryong. There, according to the Taoist teachings, you will find Yangdan, which will make you immortal, the Emperor said. If you do this, any country will bow down to us, the man said with fury in his eyes. The Empire's army and General Huang Barak, lay down your lives to escort the princess, the emperor ordered. We accept the imperial order, the general replied, clasping his hands, thus agreeing with the man. All right, let's go, the emperor said loudly, giving the order. Let's go back to the time when Van Suho was fighting an evil version of himself. Tao Wu, the boy shouted to activate his powers. But he noticed that the same thing was happening to that version of him. That is, the power of the spirit is activated in the same way. When he directed all his strength at his opponent, he received the same in return. Is he using Tao Wu's power? Wang Suho exclaimed. Watching this, Tao Wu said with a smile. This is fun. It's just a fake, said an angry Suko. And gathering all his strength in a pile, he delivered strong blows one after another, not allowing his opponent to rest. The fake Wang Suho stretched out his hand, which contained all the power of Tao Wu, and struck a strong blow. The real Wang Suho was wounded and bled to death. And he uses my abilities better than you do, said the spirit in the boy's chest. He's faster than me. Why? Suho asked Tao Wu, his face contorted in pain. He doesn't worry about anything as long as he uses my powers to the fullest. The spirit answered him, proud of it. The fake Wang Suho again struck a strong blow, which the real one barely contained. Is this my weakness? If it were me, I would have waited for the moment before launching a strong attack, he thought. A moment, he didn't realize what had happened. The fake jumped, bumping into the guy's head in the air, thus ending up behind him. And at that moment, he stabbed him in the back. After the rapprochement, there was a strong attack. The fake guy was striking very fast. The moment the guy's back was turned to Suko, he said, I was waiting for this. Suho decided to take advantage of a good moment and pierce his opponent with his sword. But it did not work out exactly as he wanted. The counterfeit saw this attempt and grabbed the sword blade with his left hand, which was supposed to attack him. Wang Suho was frightened and surprised, speaking at that moment. Don't tell me what? A blow. And the guy was already standing, wounded in the left arm by a sword, continuing to speak. Am I the only one who fell into this trap? Wang Suho activated Tao Tei's forces in time, thus creating a green protective circle. At that moment, their eyes crossed. Eyes full of incomprehension and eyes full of death. A moment, and the fake guy also got the power of Tao Tei's spirit. Van Suho could no longer contain his emotions. He didn't even pay for this power. Looking at this guy, Suko said, He's much stronger than me now. Let's see how long you can hold out, Van Suho shouted angrily. The fake Van Suko struck another hard blow that lit up everything around him. Fast and accurate swords. Van Suho barely had time to fight them off. Using again the power of Tao Wu, the man struck a strong blow, from which only the power of Tao Tei saved the boy. If he is using the power of evil spirits for free, then what will happen if I increase the power to the limit? At that moment, Wang Suho gathered all the strength he could in his hand, which was full of Tao Wu power, and directed it toward his opponent. At the same time, the opponent, also absorbing the force in his hand, but with a calm face, directed the force at Suko. Are you going to use a spiral-shaped cutting space? Suho asked, directing this particular power at his opponent. The other did the same, so their powers touched each other, radiating incredible power. Looking at all this, Tao Wu exclaimed in fright, Hey, duck! Listening to the spirit, the boy did just that. After all, the force was very powerful, destroying everything that got in its way. Suho noticed that the guy decided to strike with his sword. Like lightning from the sky, the sword flew down on the boy. But he grabbed the sword with both hands, not allowing me to move it. The angry Wang Suho looked at the boy without expressing any emotion on his face. He only continued to direct his spirit towards Suho. Is he going to use the cutting space in this position? Wang Suho asked, barely holding the sword and not allowing it to be used to its fullest potential. Stop! Someone's words were heard from the other side. The real Van Suko immediately turned his head to find out who it was who had spoken. The fake one didn't even pay attention. You… what? A girl said, looking out from behind the door where the mirror was. I was on my way to Mount Chongryong, but I got lost, Suho began to explain to the stranger. What the hell is this? The guy asked, holding his sword. This is my house. Get out of here right now, the girl said, looking out from behind the door in fear. Oh my God, she's on high alert. I'm not sure if there's anything that can change her mood. Wait a minute, she's obsessed with Pop G. Okay, I'll go right now. Please call off this guy who's copying my Pop G, Wang Suho asked the girl, holding back his opponent. Pop G? The stranger said in surprise. I've got you, thought the boy. She asked Suho again if it was all about Pop G. He confirmed it again. Wait, can you show me your Pop G? Shinlei Jing, come back, she said. After the girl's words, the fake Wang Suho put down his weapon. Oh, well, it won't be easy since it's in my body, Suho replied. The girl was even more surprised by his words. Inside you? How could you absorb it? She asked curiously. Suko began to tell how it all happened. There were monsters sealed inside Pop G. They had to move into my body. You're lying. How could monsters create something like this? The girl exclaimed in anger. Tao Wu could not contain himself and said, What monsters? We are known as the ancient evil, the 4 sins in your language, the spirits said in unison. Only because God came and sealed us, they continued to explain. God? If so, what did Pop G do with the gods? She exclaimed. Oh, that's... the spirit exclaimed. Perhaps that's why he created it, to seal us in here, replied Hun Dun, pushing Tao Wu. Whoa! Shocked by what she heard, the girl ran out to meet them, shining with stars around her. She ran up to Van Suho and, touching his body, asked, Where is it? Is it here? Or here? Why are you doing this? The guy asked in confusion, because he had heard that she was about 30 years old, but she looked younger than him. There are only a few techniques that were created together with the gods that have survived. This could be an incredibly valuable treasure, she said with enthusiasm. Really? Suho asked the girl, who was touching him and looking him straight in the eye, a smile on her face. Since they dared to seal us, isn't it obvious? Hun Dun said. Then, if you don't mind, can I learn your Pop G? Of course, I'll pay you if you let me, the smiling girl asked. Do you have any knowledge of Pop G? I was going to the mountains to get Pop G, which neutralizes sounds, the guy said, happy that he was able to attract her. Sounds? If so, don't you think Gunsa Johansson would be perfect? She wondered. Come in, I'll show you. Will you also show me your Pop G? The girl said, inviting him to the open door. Sounds good, Suho said. Huh. Can a human comprehend our Pop G? Tao Wu asked. The more complicated, the better, she told them, drooling. At the same time, she was thinking about how she wanted to take Pop G apart, take each part, and perform thousands of experiments on it. Following the girl, Wang Suho and the spirits went through the door and into the room. This is my laboratory and home? Pointing to the room, the girl said, a little shy. Inspecting every detail, Hun Dun said, Hey, this is pretty good. What is this? Tao Te asked, flying over to a table with some parts on it. This is the part of Pop G that I'm renovating now. When everything is ready, it will be a real sensation, the girl replied, returning to her senses with a strange smile on her face. Approaching a dark room, she said, Gunsa Johansson is here. Upon entering the room, Wang Suho asked curiously, What is this? There was a device in front of them. It's called a Chul Seong, a device that collects chi. I use it to create Pop G items, explained its owner. It was created by God, but it was dismantled after a malfunction. So now I'm trying to understand its structure. People will be able to make Pop G for free if I can produce a series of such machines, she said with excitement. As he reflected, Van Suho thought that this particular device could have exploded then. Morning. The sun is shining on the mountaintops. The emperor's army, led by General Huangbo Rock and the sage Changchun, left the palace. Will no one try to interfere with the procession of the imperial princess? Chok Shin asked. Who would attack so many people? And Gun He said, smiling. The princess, of course, was the main one here. She was very focused on the outcome of this trip. Her favorite cat, Mu Wool, also went with her. The princess also went with her assistants. Your Highness, why didn't you go in a carriage? Have you ever ridden a horse before? One of them asked. The princess replied, It's easier to talk while you're riding. I hate carriages, they are too boring. Seeing the imperial army marching to its final destination on the horizon, 3 unknown people followed it closely. One of them was, she said, Are we going to attack now? No. The right time will come when they weaken their lines. Yumpa answered her, folding his arms across his chest. When he was in the girl's studio, Wang Suho saw a box on the table, which was resting on a pink handkerchief. Is this the one? He asked. Yeah, Gensa Johanso neutralizes all sounds within a 3-meter radius. But what do you want to use it for? The girl said, hesitating to look at Suho. I'm sorry to introduce myself so late. My name is Wang Suho, and I am a warrior of the regional governor. We need him to silence a thief who is being sought across the country, the guy said, clasping his hands together. Oh, well, I'm Bak Seol-young. My profession is Dharma healing, the girl introduced herself. Huh, that's why there are so many of them here, Suho said, smiling. Then let me do an experiment, okay? Bak Seol-young asked Wang Suho. He agreed. Then I'll start now, the girl said with excitement. What? Suho was surprised. A lantern is shining. Various tools are laid out in a row on the table. Wang Suho did not understand how he ended up on the chair with his hands tied. Huh. What are you going to do? The frightened boy barely managed to say. I want to see how the Dharma will react to your body. I'll start with your arm. The girl with the knife in her hand replied, smiling. What? Yes, wait! This experiment, Suho said with horror in his eyes. He was covered in sweat, which flowed like a stream. Wang Suho began to scream very loudly, because at that moment, Bak Seol-young stabbed him in the arm. Hey, you crazy girl! How did you manage to cut me without any resistance? Tao Wu began to be indignant. The wound from the girl's knife began to heal gradually, which surprised the girl. You heal so fast. Will my arm recover if I cut it off? Seol-young asked, because thanks to Tao Wu, she can do this as long as she wants. Hey, no way! I won't be able to restore my amputated arm, Tao Wu exclaimed in alarm. Really? Then maybe we should try applying different medicines and herbs to the wounds? She said, holding a bottle of some medicine. Hey, don't do that. They might be poisonous. I can't cure poison, the spirit shouted unbearably. I'm dying. Sue, stop! Van Suho instantly screamed, freeing his hands from the shackles. He got up from his chair and moved a short distance away and said, Only one experiment a day, and that they do not endanger my life. The girl asked him, Wow, are you mad? I'm not afraid. It's just that we're conducting such a dangerous experiment, and we're not wearing any protective equipment, Suko said irritably. The girl was listening to him and biting her nails at the same time. I'm sorry, I was so anxious to get started. I'm always busy with Chakshung. I'll work on it, Bak Seol-young said. Wang Suho sighed with relief. This woman scares me. She is quite dangerous in the Dharma. Well, can I use your mirror while you're not experimenting? The boy asked Seol-young. Do you want to practice? She asked him back. He managed to use the power of evil spirits better than I did during our fight. So I want to learn a lesson from that, he explained. Well, it was originally created by God so that he could find his weaknesses. Will it help train you? Seol-young asked. If the mirror gets too dangerous, you just stay away from it and it will stop, the girl explained. Wang Suho wondered why the girl hadn't corrected her flaws if it was so powerful. The next day, Wang Suho started training with himself, or rather a copy of himself. Thanks to the battle with him, I will learn everything I can, Suho said, pointing his sword at the fake. Having accelerated well, he struck a strong blow to his opponent, but the blow was restrained by the sword of the other. It was close. Then Suho decided to use Tao Wu's power. First, create a small vortex of void incisor energy, then release it with the sword. Van Suho did exactly as he had planned, using the vortex of energy from the void cutter. Having pierced it, he saw that his opponent had disappeared, leaving nothing behind. Where? What is this? While Suho was trying to figure out where his fake had gone, a shadow flickered behind him. When he was behind Wang Suho, the man pointed his sword, which is charged with the energy of the void cutter, at him. Behind? The guy looked back and saw that his opponent was behind him. In order to deter this powerful strike of his opponent, Wang Suho called upon the powers of Tao Te. A green circle immediately appeared on his left hand, swallowing up everything. The defender decided to use the force in the form of a spring, but because the opponent was using the same force, Wang Suho was thrown a long way through it. The force was so powerful that he reveled in his blood. When he landed on one knee, he realized that the spiral he had used was no match for this guy. But Suho didn't want to lose and give up, so he shouted, "One more time!" But what is it? The boy heard a strange sound. Looking around, he said, "That sound already? It's faster than I imagined." Looking around, he tried to find him. "Where are you? I'm sure it's here." "Why doesn't it answer?" Suho wondered. "This way." I heard from the room. It was filled with smoke. Van Suho tried to speed up his run to get to the lab. When he ran into the room, he saw that in the middle of the room, near the Pop-G device, was Bak Seol-young. A huge pipe had fallen on her. "Are you okay?" Suko asked, lifting the pipe and freeing the girl. "You have to stop Chuk Sung, or it will just explode." "Ah," the girl said, barely breathing. Ah. Sol Yang holding her leg. It was injured. I'll try. Which of these do you want to turn off? Suho asked the girl. The girl began to explain to Suho how to turn off Chukseong. You need to turn off the compressor to stop it. First, you have to lower the red control knob on the left. Then you have to go to the back and close the 5 pipes. Listening to Seol Yang, the boy could not understand why it was so difficult. The device began to heat up and make loud noises. So Wang Suho decided, touching the small window, that he would do things his way because he was not sure that the device would explode now. If Kai is unstable, you need to absorb it. Suho immediately activated Tao Te's powers. When the girl saw the boy absorbing Kai, she said, "You can absorb Ki? What kind of Zadharma is that?" The girl was barely alive, spitting out her blood from time to time. "I should definitely take her apart," she whispered. Bang! Wang Suho turned toward the loud sound and saw that the girl had fallen. The boy immediately rushed to her with the words, "Sol Yan, get up." It's not just a leg injury, but an internal injury. Van Suho picked up the girl and threw her on his back. He ran very fast from that place because he wanted to save her. "We're going to get out of here." On her way out of her lab, Bak Seol-young whispered in Wang Suho's ear, "Let's go to Mat Chongryong-san." A beautiful area was visible on the mountains. There were tall temples and various buildings. When they reached the point of Mat Chongryong-san, they were met by people saying, "Is Seol-young injured?" At the same time, they were sent to the infirmary where the girl was unconscious and Suka was sitting next to her all the time. A frightened man entered the ward saying, "Sol-yan!" Van Suho immediately asked who he was. The man answered him angrily, "I am her uncle. And who are you?" Standing in front of the man and bowing, Suho said, "I am Wang Suho from the regional supervision. I was visiting Sol-yang when she was injured." "How is she?" the uncle asked. Closing his eyes, the boy replied that the reason was an accident during the experiment. Fortunately, he managed to avoid it. "You saved Sol-yan's life. I thank you," the man said, coming closer to Suho. He bowed before him and replied, "You're welcome. I just did what I had to do. I warned her that it was very dangerous, but I don't know how to get rid of her stubbornness," the man said, sitting down next to the girl's bed and bowing his head. "Sol-yan shouldn't have become like this," he said, looking at the girl with sadness in his eyes. Van Suho did not understand what had happened, so he asked the sad man. Recalling everything, my uncle began to tell me. The Sol family had been working on restoring the dharmas for generations. When Sol-yan was 15 years old, something terrible happened. "Mom, Dad, I'm home!" A girl with a bag on her shoulder exclaimed as she entered the house. But when she looked around the main room, she couldn't figure out where her parents were. There was a terrible silence. Her attention was drawn to something terrible. She saw her father's feet on the floor of the other room. Bak Seol-young ran to him, terrified in her eyes. "Papa?" When she entered the dining room, she saw a terrible picture. Her mother, sitting at the table, was dead. Her father was lying dead at the table. And there was a girl. She was standing with her back to Seol. At that moment, the girl turned to Seol-young. "What is it? Is it her?" The girl said with a smile, "Oh, you have come." The girl looked exactly like Seol. "What should we do?" "I've already taken care of them," she said, holding a snake in her hand. Her eyes were red and shining like fire. Seol-young asked in fright, "Who are you? What have you done to my parents?" "Oh, they were bitten by this wonderful Chiljamsa," the stranger said, pointing to the snake. After the bite, the venom spread through their bodies and they died before they had taken 7 steps. "But why? Why the hell are you doing this?" The girl could barely speak through her tears. "Now that you've seen it, die with your parents," the attacker said with a devilish smile. At that moment, Bak Seol-young just saw a snake attacking her with its mouth open. Looking up at the ceiling of the room, the uncle continued to tell. Later, a neighbor found her. All of her family members died, only Sol Yeon survived. After that, I brought her to Mant, but this child grew up to hate people and to be mad at the power of the law, he said sadly. The uncle turned to Suko. "Can I ask you a favor? I would like you to stop Sol-yan while you are here. I have nothing to give you for a fee, but please," the man asked, holding Suho's hand in his palms. Van Suho agreed. After some thought, Suho came to the conclusion that one criminal reminded him of Bak Seol-young, a very familiar story. "I think I've heard of a similar situation before," he said. Sol was slowly coming to. Opening her eyes, she said, "Where am I?" "This is the point of Mat Chongryong-san. Your internal injuries have been treated with medicine and your leg is not broken, so you will be discharged soon," Wang Suho replied, standing next to him. The girl was surprised to see the guy at first and then happily thanked him. "By the way, Solyan, your uncle came by the day before yesterday and talked to me. I heard that a strange thief broke into your house," the boy said. "Oh, what about the thief?" the girl asked. "Oh, I know of one place," Suho continued to say, and he saw a strange reaction from the girl. She was very angry and exclaimed, "What? Really?" "Yes, I've seen many criminal cases in the supervision department. I've seen cases similar to yours, so I think I can take on the investigation. Please catch her for me. If you do, I'll give you anything you want. I won't find her just by looking at the file, but I know when she'll commit her next crime." Seo Young looked at Suho with eyes full of hope. "I will definitely catch her," the boy said with confidence, clenching his fist. "Good, I trust you," the girl exclaimed to him joyfully. The sage Changchun and the princess saw in the distance a glow from the mountain where Wang Suho was now. Changchun decided that he needed to return to Matjongrensan. "Yes, master. I will see you in Matchonrezan," the princess replied, bowing to the sage. A moment, and the sage Changchun turned into a mighty bird and flew toward the mountain, where an unknown shining was calling him. The girl and the warriors watched him go. "Your Highness, where did Zhang Chongjin go?" the general asked. "He has an immediate message to the elders of Matcheonryongsan," she replied with a smile. "I see. In any case, the sun will be setting soon, so why don't we set up camp here and leave tomorrow?" the man suggested. "As you wish," she replied. "Today we are staying here. Get ready," the general ordered his soldiers. "Yes, General," they answered unanimously. And after a while, the camp was well equipped. Tents were set up, and a fire was lit for cooking. The princess was sitting on her bed and petting her favorite cat. At the same time, her assistant was working on the improvement of her tent. "How long will you be in Matjongryongsan, Your Highness?" the girl asked. "Well, my master said he has training, so we'll stay for a month or so," the princess replied. "You should take advantage of this opportunity and train hard," she added. "Yes, Your Highness," the aides replied. Muwul was disturbed by something. Suddenly, he started hissing and getting aggressive. "What's wrong, Muwul?" the princess asked. "A camp with tents. I heard someone's footsteps." It was an unknown man. Seeing someone coming to the camp, the soldiers immediately took up arms. "I will pass judgment on the sinners. You mock the people like a royal dog. You are all guilty," said the mysterious stranger. "Your sins will be judged here. This door will judge your sins. They will make a decision about your afterlife." The doors had the following names: Heaven, Earth, Asura, Demons, Creatures, Hell. "Go ahead, choose one. Enemy, emergency, to arms." The soldiers were ready to defend their princess. "You will be punished for not choosing your life after death. Open up," and at that moment the magic door opened. "May the inhabitants of hell condemn you." And a large iron wheel rolled at great speed toward the soldiers. "Closed formation," the soldiers shouted, strutting up and raising their swords in front of them. "Nothing will get to Her Highness the Princess. Stop it." The soldiers faced the danger with all their courage, protecting the princess's tent. The merciless iron wheel flew straight at the men, knocking them down and crushing them. "I'll deal with him. Everyone back." The general, holding a large spear, tried to counteract the wheel of death. "Will you be able to resist the justice of the Hell House on your own?" "What pride," the stranger said. "Who sent you?" the general exclaimed. "Do you think I'm going to tell you that easily?" the man replied. "So, I will overcome you and make you answer." The general, using the power of the acid cloud, ran his spear through the iron wheel, destroying it. "General, as usual, we don't even need to intervene," said the captain. All the soldiers admired the way their general had handled the danger so easily. "You barely broke a gear, and you're already happy." So the attacker decided to use even more force. Hell is a place where criminals are crushed by an infinite number of them. "Oh, can he stop everything?" Chokshin and In-gyong-hee said, frightened. "Stop worrying," the general ordered, looking back at his soldiers. Taking his spear with both hands, he began to swing it very quickly over his head. Filling his weapon with the necessary energy, the man struck the large gears with all his might, destroying them. "Not bad for a general," the man said, raising his 4 hands in front of him. "O karmic gears, give weight to the karma of this sinner." There were many of them, and they were rushing toward the general with great speed, striking one after another. They are like a mantis that wants to stop a cart. They rush into battle recklessly. The man sent the gears into battle more and more. "What is it? The gears are falling. I'm going to fall on tents and people." Chokshin stood frozen, seeing one of those gears coming at him. Yeah, he decided to run after all. Give to the spirit of blood. Create a wall. And in an instant, the gear shattered into small pieces above the boy's head. It was a princess. She took out her amulet and used the power. Step back, the girl shouted in anger. Chakshin just bowed in front of the princess, saluting her. Hua Young, Ji Young Min, gather everyone around me, the princess ordered. Yes, your highness, the girl's armed aides said in unison. I will protect everyone. All my positive chi is filled with my blood. And at that moment, the princess's powers enveloped the attacking gears. What you would expect from a princess. She is incredible, the soldiers exclaimed. Everyone, keep in line around the princess, Huayan said. Looking back, the general said, oh my God, why did she have to intervene? What a shame. But without losing his vigilance, the general destroyed the wheels one by one using his magic spear. Your dharma is not bad, but is it not a sign of your ignorance? Yumpa said, coming closer. When the captain and the soldiers saw another man, they did not understand who he was. Get out of the way, the red-haired guy shouted, coming closer and closer. He's going crazy. Stop him. All the soldiers pointed their swords to attack. But one moment, and all those who stood in Yompa's way were destroyed. You are no match for me, said the boy. This guy is not that easy. Get in his way, Lim Chongyi shouted. Yompa, directing all his strength into the hammers, made a strong blow to the ground. Thus, all the soldiers led by the captain flew away from such a force. The stones were flying in all directions. The princess's assistant covered her face from being injured by the stones, but at that moment, the princess used her powers and stopped them. As she came closer, the princess told the girl to step back. Zhongmin bowed and did as she was told. Wow! Using his X-ray vision, Yompa saw how much energy and strength the princess had. Good chi concentration in the upper, middle, and lower sections. The boy immediately came to the conclusion that it was a princess. Yes, I am Princess Moon Ryang. What do you want? The girl exclaimed with anger on her face. The details of the plan are unknown even to me, but I know for sure that you have to die, the man replied calmly. Who are you? Who sent you? The princess continued to ask, her brow furrowed. Try to find out for yourself if you survive this day, Yompa shouted, trying to attack. I would not have dared to fight like this in the past, but I feel ready to fight. She pointed her magic pendant and used her power. Nightblood. Like fiery arrows, they were heading toward Yompa. But by crossing his hammers in front of him, he managed to repel this force. The princess, at the same time, directed the following magic arrows. What? They cut the guy's body like a blade, spilling his blood. There is no doubt that her dharma is strong, but the guy had no intention of backing down. With a good push off the ground, Yompa flew at the princess, holding his hammer to deliver a strong blow. But you don't have any fighting experience at all, do you? He said. Arr! The princess screamed very loudly from the strong impact of the hammer. Huayong cried out in horror. Your Highness! Princess Moon Ryang was not ready for such a strong blow, so she fell down, unable to keep her feet. Oh, my hand! The hammer blow injured her right hand. The blood gushed out. Yompa decided to attack the girl again, and with the speed of the wind, he ran toward her. When he was close enough, he waved his weapon and said, Enough is enough! Die! Raising her magic pendant high in her hand, the princess summoned her magical power. And in that moment, there was an explosion, as the Dharma, having revealed its power, protected the girl from the terrible hammer. Huh? The attacker could not understand how this was possible. After striking him hard with an iron hammer, the man said in amazement, This Dharma protects its owner? Your Highness. Armed soldiers were already running to the princess's aid. Raising his hammer high above his head and directing all his strength into it, Yompa immediately got rid of the men. It was as if a blue flame separated the warriors from the princess. And at that moment, two boys, Zhang Xin and Ng He, were watching from behind the tent. Oh my God, Her Royal Highness is in danger. What should we do? We can't get close to him. Yes, but rescuing the princess will be my great achievement. Do you have any ideas on how to stop him? And looking around, Chok Shin noticed something. Hey, in Hyungi, can this work? The boy asked, pointing to the cart. I think so, the other answered. Left alone, Yompa approached the princess and said, You are still a princess, so I will give you the right to choose how to die. I won't let someone like you kill me, the girl shouted angrily. Holding up two hammers, the man said, How rude! And at that moment, he decided to kill the princess using the nameless flame. Princess Moon, Ryang stretched her arm upward as her other arm was injured. and summoned her strength to repel the blows. "Burn it to the ground," the attacker shouted and swung his firehammer. Yompa didn't understand what he was hearing. "What is that?" At that moment, a wagon was flying at him. Bang! She flew right into him, but didn't even budge. When Yompa saw the horse-drawn carriage, he could not understand where it came from and why it was flying straight at him. Shit. He didn't even flinch when the cart hit him? What is he made of? Bastards! The attacker immediately saw the guys hiding behind the bags. "Run! Your Highness is coming!" the boys shouted, trying to get away from the man. Yompa struck the cart with his magic hammer, which shattered it into pieces. The firepower flew between the guys without hitting them. Chakshin looked back and said, "I needed fire just now." "Thank you, you son of a bitch." "What? Don't tell me." There were explosives hidden in the destroyed trolley. The resulting spark ignited everything and instantly exploded. Aha! Even the princess was thrown into the air by the blast wave. The general looked back from the terrible explosion behind him and said in surprise, "What is this? Was there an enemy in our rear?" "So it's just a distraction." He continued to repel the advancing gears. Chakshin and Ngayang-hee ran away and looked at the large flames from the explosion. "Did we make it?" one asked. "A whole chest of Jinx explosives exploded. He's definitely done for," replied the other. "But what is it?" Through the flames, a man comes out to meet the boys. He was completely intact without the slightest scratch. Oh, how did it happen? A monster! A real monster!" The princess, realizing that he was too much for them, said to the soldiers, "You two, retreat. Go back to the general." Yes, sir," they answered. Yompa looked at them running away from him and said loudly, "You will all die." Princess Moon Ryang and Chakshin ran through a camp with tents where her aides and other wounded soldiers were staying. "The general is here." The boy pointed to the man who was fighting with the gears. Looking back at them, the man asked, "Your Highness, are you all right?" Seeing the princess join the general, the unknown attacker said, "Everyone is in place. Song, come on!" And at that moment, a girl peeked out from behind the gate, the same girl who had shot Suko with a bow. She aimed her bow, preparing to shoot. The general and the princess standing right behind him were in the crosshairs of her weapon. The gears changed their trajectory, thus giving the arrow a free flight. Song Jae-won took the shot. The general saw a magical arrow flying at him, but he knew that if he dodged it, Her Highness the Princess would be in danger. The man decided that he needed to destroy the arrow. To do this, he used his sword and broke it in half. Small pieces of ice flew off the arrow. "You guys are so loud, Ma," the man said happily. But the general's attention was drawn to something. "I prepared it especially for you. It is the so-called arrow of blood and ice." "What? I'm freezing." Cold instantly spread through the general's veins, destroying him from the inside out. The princess watched in horror as her husband froze to death before her eyes. "General Huang Bo!" The general focused his attention on what was happening around him. 3 enemies. "So this is where I will meet my death? Palace guards, listen to my order. Save yourselves!" The man shouted with the last of his strength as he slammed his sword into the ground. "I will detain these guys and you take the princess to Mount Cheonggyeong. With the support of the Taoists, we will be able to stop them," the general said with steely determination. "General, I'm sure there's someone else who can defeat them. Let's go together," the princess begged. "No, I have to stay. Hurry up and take the princess away," the man exclaimed, looking around. "Your Highness, it is time for us to go." The assistants, taking the princess under their arms, led her out of the place. Mounting their horses, the princess, her assistants, and the soldiers rode away. The general, holding his sword, shouted after them, "Do everything you can to save your lives. It pains me to see your pathetic attempts to save her. Even the masters of Mount Cheonggyeong will be powerless against us if you die," the attacker said. "I'll deal with your friends right after you," the general replied. "Ho-ho! Kill me if you can," the man exclaimed, raising his left hand, preparing to attack with his gears. "Attack!" shouted Huang Bo, pointing his sword to strike. And at that moment, there was a big, powerful explosion. The starry sky is beautiful. The wise man went out to think about everything that was happening around him and to watch the stars. "Judging from what I saw, Wang Suho is not someone who would throw around the power of evil spirits. Therefore, even if I cannot bring them back, the student said, bowing to the sage. "Leave the 4 evil spirits. What's more, Wonso? Did you say that you were with the princess all this time?" the sage asked. "Yes," the boy replied, raising his head. "I can feel the energy of the afterlife flying over the life-filled Cheonggyeong Mountain. It looks like Her Highness is in danger, said the man with blue and yellow eyes. What? Do you think she was attacked? The guy asked in confusion, getting up in a flash. It seems so. If the princess dies now, we will be in big trouble, said the wise man, looking up at the stars. You must help her. No matter what, hard times will help Her Highness grow. No matter what, don't use the powers of an immortal animal, the man told his student. Yes, master. Even though the princess has great skills, she is still human. Why do you need such conditions? The boy said.